Today on an all-new Dr. Phill.
My mom kicked me out when I was 15 years old.
I did not throw her out.
Is this an ungrateful daughter?
She was eating on the sofa. 3 days later, the dishes were still on the sofa.
Or is mom
She told me, you need to lose weight, you're so fat.
I never called my daughter a fat bitch.
delusional?
You went to reunification therapy?
I was at her knees begging, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you, Courtney. My daughter was recoiling in the chair.
Did you threaten that therapist?
I did not threaten the therapist, sir.
You throw a check on the floor and say, have a nice life. This is a therapist whose job it is to bring mother and daughter back together.
Yes, sir, and as I said, that was the morning.
And she says, I quit. I quit. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Okay, I want you to take a look inside of this house. Gorgeous, organized living room, a meticulous kitchen, perfectly clean, right? This belongs to my guest, Beverly, a divorced mom who takes pride in her appearance and her home. Now take a look at this. Clothes and hangers thrown on the floor, bathroom counter, a complete disaster. This mess belongs to 20-year-old college student Courtney. Can you imagine these two living together? Well, they did it one time. They are mother and daughter. Courtney says her mom, Beverly, is such a neat freak and messed up in the mind that she kicked Courtney out of the house when she was 15. But Beverly says her daughter chose to leave. 5 years later, this mother and daughter are still at odds, and Courtney says the scars run very deep. A bitter custody battle, sexual abuse allegations, and, well, just a whole lot more. Of course, Mom Beverly is 100% convinced their rift is all because of a messy room. Take a look.
If you look around my home, you'll see that most things are in place and in order. I try to keep a neat, tidy house.
If I left a dirty dish in the sink, I would hear about it 6 months later. My mom likes things absolutely perfectly in their place. If it's perfect, I'm uncomfortable. My closet's not organized. A chair has my bedspread on it. Our last big fight happened when I was going to a movie premiere. I had baked cookies and left a mess in the kitchen.
Dishes that she used were still there from the morning. Both bedrooms, both bathrooms, completely wiped out.
I had my own bathroom and I had my own bedroom, so I didn't feel the need to put every single thing away.
I left her a note placing her on restriction. She was not allowed to use the TV or the computer.
There was a 2-page typed note telling me I was a slob, I was a pig.
When I came home the next day, I found her watching TV with her feet up on my desk, eating cheese and crackers. And that's when the fight started. It was one of my worst moments ever in my life. I lost complete control.
My mother threw an empty Parmesan cheese container at me.
A few days later, her and her father announced that she was moving out. I got upset and I said, if you don't want to be here, just go, just get out. Courtney heard, get out, go away, don't come back.
The way she tells the story is we had one fight and I left to go to my dad's and never came home. And that's just not what happened. My mom kicked me out when I was 15 years old. Actually said the words, get out of my house, and slammed the door in my face.
Well, Courtney says her mom Beverly's behavior was abusive way before their fight over a Parmesan cheese container and cookies.
Whenever my mom saw me eating junk food or in tight clothes, she would tell me how fat I was, how I needed to get on a diet, nobody's ever gonna want me. It's a good one for her. I had no self-esteem. I look back at pictures of me now when I was a child and think, wow, I wasn't fat. If I didn't do very well on a test, she would tell me, you're never going to amount to anything more than flipping burgers. You're not smart. Nobody's going to want you. In the 5 years I've lived with my dad, my mom has done countless crazy things. She actually sent some random guy I didn't know to take pictures of me at a high school football game. That was terrifying, by the way. She sent people into my work, asked me questions about my personal life. I don't answer her text messages. Her number is blocked. I delete her emails before reading them. As of right now, I have no relationship with my mom.
Okay, how long has it been since you've seen each other?
Easter.
Easter?
Yes, sir.
So months?
Yes, sir.
All right, and how long since you've really spent any quality time together?
Years.
Years. Okay, so let's talk about this one big fight that you say there was just one fight.
Yes, sir.
At 15, when she was 15.
Yes, sir.
And as a result of this one fight, this argument, that she abandoned you and went with her dad, and that was it. You've been cast aside, left all these years since then.
Yes, sir. She spent a week at her father's house and a week at my home. She came home to my home. The house had been completely cleaned. I came home from work that evening. The house, her dinner dishes, she was eating on the sofa at that time. 3 days later, the dishes were still on the sofa. The books were all over the counter. The house was a mess. On the third day, when I came home from work, she was at a movie premiere. She made cookies for her friends, left everything out. The eggs had been left out, now spoiled. And the house was a mess. So I left her a note putting her on restriction, specifically telling her no TV, no computer, no phone.
Well, I have that letter.
Yes.
And some excerpts from it. You said, I have asked you nicely, begged, yelled, and cried over the way you treat our home and me with such disrespect. You may not have any TV. You will not be attending any parties this weekend. You will be giving me your phone when I return from work at 3:45 p.m. I will be disconnecting the line tomorrow on my lunch hour. This should give you plenty of time to say goodbye to your friends for the summer. Because you overslept is no reason to have left the kitchen a mess. You should have not made cookies if you didn't have time to clean your mess. You left the door to the garage open. The cat was in the garage when I opened the big door. She came running out and was almost run over. I had to chase her around the front yard. I apologize if I have once again stolen your happiness, but you are bringing it on yourself, Mom. Okay, that was the letter you got, right?
Yes.
How'd you feel about the letter?
Horrible. I spent the night on the bathroom floor because I was physically sick to my stomach.
Letter's a little dramatic, but I don't see it as being a particularly egregious writing. And I have to say, that's about the last reasonable thing that I think you did. Beverly partially blames her ex-husband for their problems, but Christopher says Beverly is the one who started all the problems years ago with a false accusation.
My mom falsely accused my dad of having a sexual relationship with me 2 days before Christmas.
During the custody battle, we went to Beverly's house. While Courtney was moving her things out, she left her phone on a counter.
I looked through my 15-year-old's phone. I saw pornographic text messages. It looked like the sender said it was Dad. I had to investigate where this was coming from.
If she had just asked me about the text messages, I would have told her the truth. My friends sent them to me when I was using my dad's phone the summer before. I didn't want him to know I was telling dirty jokes. I sent them to myself so that he wouldn't see them, and it looked like they came from my dad to me.
I went into shock, and I didn't know what to do.
She went straight to the courts and tried to have my dad thrown in jail for being a pedophile.
The next thing I knew, we were in court trying to get the phone record subpoenaed.
When Children's Protective Services knocks on your door, you can't really say it's not a good time. They raked us across the coals. That's the hardest thing I've ever done. And to think my daughter had to go through the same things I went through. My daughter was asked questions she should never, ever have been asked.
We had an emergency court hearing, and they let me go home with my dad. It was clear to everyone that my dad had not had an inappropriate relationship with me. My mom drags it on to this day. She says that I'm his trophy girlfriend. It's completely inappropriate and completely not true.
I am now on a list of people who have been accused of being a pedophile. even though there was no basis whatsoever.
Okay, Christopher, thank you for joining us. I want to get this out right straight up. Did your father send you these off-color messages?
No way.
He did not send those?
No.
But they were on his phone to your phone?
Yes.
Okay, so, but yet he didn't send them to you. You need to explain that so everybody understands that.
When my mom kicked me out, she kept my phone. And my dad never used his phone, so for that summer, he let me use his. And when I got my phone back, I forwarded those messages to my phone because I didn't want them to be on his phone, and I didn't want him to see that my friends were sending me dirty jokes.
Has she been verbally abusive to you?
Well, I've never called her a bitch. I've never said anything to her like that.
You've never called her a pig?
I've called her a pig, yes.
And later, did you steal an ambulance?
No, sir.
Did she steal an ambulance?
That is the legend in the fire department.
I went down to the beach and I just sat there.
In the ambulance?
Yes, sir.
Monday on an all-new Dr. Phill. Is her Nigerian husband
He gave you this when he proposed?
No, I bought my own ring.
a scam artist?
I see Mom being James's cash cow.
He has 3 different dates of birth on 5 passports. The marriage license, it's got typos. They put an M in license.
They don't spell English how we spell. I know Nigerian. I was there.
But that doesn't mean you weren't getting played.
That's Monday.
When I first met my husband, Chris, he seemed like a great guy. As time went on, I noticed that he would pick me apart on some of the smallest details. I always felt like an employee, not so much a wife. Our marriage became a competition. One summer, I came home with a puppy dog, and Christopher started throwing a fit, yelling he didn't get to pick the color, didn't get to have anything to do with it. He picked up his beer and threw it into the street and was yelling obscenities. And it was at that point that I packed up my daughter, and I filed for divorce shortly after that.
Courtney says her mother Beverly's unpredictable behavior during the custody battle with her father Christopher was so out of control that it ended up pushing them further apart.
During the court custody battle, the judge issued a no contact order between me and my mom. She couldn't contact me, I couldn't contact her. She violated that order a few dozen times. Blatantly, she didn't care who saw. She would show up at my high school football games, send me text messages, leave me voicemails telling me I was a spoiled little brat.
Did you throw her out?
No, sir, I did not throw her out.
Did she kick you out or did she not?
She kicked me out.
And why do you say that when she says, no, you left?
My dad wouldn't have let me leave. He wanted us to have a better relationship. He was there.
Courtney, did you not come to my house and say, I'm taking my electronics? You went up to your room and you packed your electronics up. And you and your father said, your father's famous quote was, you guys need to take a little break from each other. And that's what he kept saying. You need to take a break. You need to take a break. And you guys moved out. You packed your stuff and you moved out. You came on Christmas Eve and took what you wanted and left everything else on the floor. You took everything with you.
A week after I was kicked out, I did come back and take some things. I got the rest of it on Christmas Eve, but that day, we did not intend for me to leave the house forever.
When I suggested to take a break, I was trying to keep the relationship together, not to break it apart. The idea was a break was for them to take a breath, step back, and maybe get a fresh start.
Were you verbally abusive with your daughter?
I don't think I was. I've never called my daughter a fat bitch or whatever that she said that was. I've never said anything to her like that.
You've never called her a pig?
No. I've called her a pig, yes. I've told her room looks like a pigsty and it looks like a pig lives in here, yes.
But you don't think you've been verbally abusive to her?
That, occasionally, maybe, yes. Yeah.
Well, 30 seconds ago, you said no.
Well, I've never called her a bitch. I mean, I've never used profanity to my daughter, calling her anything like that.
Okay. Has she been verbally abusive to you?
Yes. Yes, sir, she has.
What has she said to you that you consider verbally abusive?
You're never going to amount to anything more than flipping burgers.
Never said that.
Yes, you did. You need to lose weight. You're so fat. How could my daughter be this fat? You wish you looked like me.
Wow.
Go ahead.
No one's ever gonna want you. You wonder why you have no friends. She once told me that I had failed a grade in school and that I was gonna have to go to summer school. I panicked. I called my school and made an appointment to see the principal the next day. Turns out I didn't fail the grade. I didn't have to go to summer school. She just lied and told me I had. And looking back now, I see that I wasn't the fat little pig I was told I was. And that's definitely very painful to me.
Dr. Phill, every single one of those statements she's saying is an absolutely false statement. I've never told my daughter she was not going to amount to anything. I've never told her she'd be anything other than flipping burgers. I've never called my daughter fat, ever in my life, as God is my witness.
Have you been to therapy with her?
We had one joint counseling session. We were court-ordered to go to therapy. She was seeing the counselor on her time. I was seeing the counselor on my time. The one session that we were supposed to meet together just happened to be the same February 4th that we were in court over the sexual text messages.
Yeah, well, I've got questions about that. And coming up, I want to talk about a fight over a flute that ended up being used against Beverly in court. We'll be right back. You throw a check on the floor and say, have a nice life. This is Hollywood. This is where you do that. You don't do that. And later,
I put on my bathrobe and I drove over to his house and I'm like, give me my flute.
she's banging on your door
Let her in.
Threatening to kick my bedroom door down.
and yelling what?
I want my flute. Give me the flute.
On the new season of Dr. Phill.
My dad sending money to a woman in Mexico that he had an affair with.
She had to have a lung transplant.
You paid for a lung. So she just showed up to a clinic with a lung in an igloo cooler, said, I'm here to get a transplant.
That's basically what happened.
Do you think maybe she's lied to you?
I just want to know the truth. Is my brother-in-law a monster?
An uncle too affectionate with his 16-year-old niece.
You're sending her a letter that says,
I love you with all my heart.
you put whipped cream on your neck, and Grace says you ask her to lick it off.
I don't remember doing that.
The creep meter is pegging over here.
Plus,
You were the facialist to the stars.
Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox.
accused of hiring a hitman to kill her rival.
Did you solicit someone to kill this man?
It was one of those, oh, I could kill this person. I should find someone to take him out.
You typed out a text message. I have found someone that can do this deed for me.
This fall on Dr. Phill.
During the custody battle, the judge ordered that my mom and I go to reunification therapy.
From the very beginning, the counselor and I did not get along. She labeled me a child abuser because I yelled at my daughter.
We had one joint session. My mother broke down emotionally, got on her hands and knees, and started begging me to tell her what she did that was so evil. The therapist tried to intervene. My mother got up, threw the check in the therapist's face, told me to have a nice life, and stormed off. That was our reunification therapy.
My question for you is, you're 5 years into this, right? Mm-hmm. If you're so smart, how come you're in such a bad situation?
Because I made some emotional, irrational moves during this because I was an emotional wreck because someone, my daughter doesn't want me. She's leaving my life.
No. Wait a minute. You just made a conclusion. You just said, my daughter doesn't want me. That's part of your strategy. You're the victim. You're the victim. You're always the victim. She doesn't want me. She's abandoned me. He's alienated her from me. The therapist doesn't like me. The judge is wrong. This one is this. It's all, everybody's lined up against you.
That's how I felt.
If you get up in the morning and go to the grocery store and you get in an argument with somebody and they're just like, yeah, and you go, wow, boy, yeah, he was really a jerk. And then you go over to church and you're there for a while and some lady over there, boy, she was really a jerk. Pretty soon you got to understand you're the jerk. You gotta ask yourself, it's like, wow,
I understand what you're saying.
Let's look at this letter. After several efforts to reunify mother and child, this clinician indefinitely suspended reunification services due to mother's behavior in a conjoint session. That means with daughter. During the session, mother refused feedback, ignored daughter's tears, yelled at the minor child, threw magazines in her direction, threw a check on the floor, and said, "Have a nice life," as she walked out. She continues to project blame onto the father and the minor child. Jerk, jerk. For the problems that led to the current estrangement. Sometimes she continues to refer to Courtney as a liar and spoiled. Additionally, it's my observation that mother's allegations of sexual abuse against the father and her decision to reference these allegations on Facebook has further damaged the relationship. It is the opinion of this clinician that reunification therapy would be emotionally detrimental to the minor child at this point. This is a therapist whose job it is to bring mother and daughter back together.
Yes, sir. And as I said, that was the morning.
And she says, "I quit." She said, "I quit."
It was a very horrible session, sir. She sat there as Courtney said, I was at her knees begging for forgiveness. And I'm begging, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you, Courtney. I'm sorry, I yelled at you." And my daughter was recoiling in the chair.
You throw a check on the floor and say, "Have a nice life"? This is Hollywood. This is where you do that. You don't do that.
There comes a point when you've been beat up enough that you just are, "I'm done. I didn't want to fight anymore."
The other therapist, you threatened to sue them.
No, I did not. I said, you know, I'm Courtney's mother. She's underage. We still have joint physical and legal custody. Anytime she goes to see a doctor, I'm supposed to be informed as well. I'd like to know.
So you let that therapist know that she had run a red light?
Yeah, I did. Because it's my daughter. I'm supposed to know. I'm supposed to be filled in.
And nowhere in there did you say you've violated something here by not allowing me to know, not letting me know that you're seeing her?
I did say I violated, but that's not saying I'm going to sue you.
Did you threaten that therapist?
I did not threaten the therapist, sir.
So you're here to defend your conduct?
No, sir, I'm not.
We know.
No, I mean...
You're not here to defend your conduct.
I know I've done...
Because you sound like you're defending your conduct.
I wanted to know what was going on with my daughter.
So how much help did you get from that therapist that quit?
No, none. I got plenty of help from my counselor.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I didn't meet you before then. Well, I'm not giving up. What would it take for Courtney to forgive her mother? And I'm still going to talk about this damn flute. We'll be right back. What was she saying?
I want my flute. Give me the flute. It's my grandfather's flute. I want the flute. I'm going to break the bad word door down.
Closed captioning provided by...
It's back to school time. You think your car smells fine, but your passengers smell this. Eliminate odors you've gone nose blind to for up to 30 days with the Febreze car vent clip. Break out the Febreze and breathe happy.
Arm & Hammer combines strength and beauty for true radiance. So for my radiant smile, I use new Truly Radiant Rejuvenating Toothpaste. In just 5 days, it cleans, whitens, repairs, and strengthens enamel with a twist of mint. Be radiant with new Truly Radiant.
Beverly's conflict resolution was difficult for me because her way was to just run away and leave and come back the next day and pretend it didn't happen. And that just didn't work for me. I wanted to talk things out, and that didn't work for her. When we were divorced, I think people who knew us well were not terribly surprised. People who didn't know us so well were absolutely shocked.
Beverly says she is desperate to have a relationship with her daughter again, but Courtney says Beverly needs to admit how outrageous her behavior has been, including sending a photographer to stalk her at a high school sports game, storming out of therapy, and allegedly stealing an ambulance. Did you steal an ambulance?
No, sir.
Did she steal an ambulance?
That is the legend in the fire department. I wasn't there.
Why do people say you stole an ambulance?
I took my ambulance down to the beach, and I sat there and tried to figure out life.
So you just borrowed the ambulance?
No, I was technically still on duty, so I pulled myself out. I went down to the beach and I just sat there.
In the ambulance?
Yes, sir.
Did you get in a fight over a flute?
Yes, sir, I did. I was sound asleep in my bed at 10:30 at night. Someone comes to my door, pounding on my door. There's some woman out there. And I'm like, can I help you? She goes, I have something for you. I'm like, what do you have? She goes, I've got papers for you. You've been served. My husband was filing for full custody.
Okay, so that upsets you.
Yes. So I put on my bathrobe and I drove over to his house and I'm like, what in the world are you doing? What are you doing here? Why are you doing this? And he's telling me I should have done this a long time ago. And he's going on, and I'm like, give me my flute. My flute was given to me by my grandfather when I was 15 years old.
She's at your door, right?
Oh, yeah, we heard the car come to a screeching halt.
And she's banging on your door.
Let her in.
You
Rather
let her
than
in.
make a scene in the neighborhood or call 911, I let her in. I told Courtney, go get the recorder, turn on the recorder. She did. And Courtney went and hid inside her bathroom behind 2 locked doors because she's fearful of her mother.
Mm-hmm. And did she come to those doors?
Yes.
Banging on the doors?
Threatening to kick my bedroom door down.
Uh-huh. And yelling what? What was she saying?
I want my flute. Give me the flute. It's my grandfather's flute. I want the flute. I'm going to break the bad words door down. Dad's saying, no, you're not. She grabbed a stool, said, this is my stool. We had it when we were married. She threw the stool on the ground. It bounced up, took a chunk out of my dad's leg. She tried to take a picture off the wall saying that she took that. Then give me my flute. I want the flute. My dad got her to calm down enough so that she would go out to the kitchen. He came back, told me to give him the flute. I gave him the flute. She left.
Can I finish explaining about the flute, sir?
I think I'm pretty caught up on the flute. This is the flute. We've got the flute here.
This happened on the night before the first day of her sophomore year of high school.
She needs the flute for school.
Courtney would have had to march with an air flute.
Excuse me,
to
Mr. Phill,
humiliate
that's
her.
absolutely incorrect. She had a new flute. She had a brand new flute. So she would not be air fluting.
Beverly asked for my help to repair her relationship with Courtney, and I've got some very specific advice that I think she needs to hear, that I think everybody needs to hear when we come back. And trust me, I'm going to put some very specific verbs in my sentences. We'll be right back.
Monday on an all-new Dr. Phill. Is her Nigerian husband deceiving her?
I see Mom being James's cash cow.
James, did you refer to Deanna as an ATM?
I don't call my wife an ATM.
That's Monday.
What you're doing's not working.
Right. I agree.
And let's talk about what it is you're doing. I think you have a serious impulse control disorder. And you have a flair for the dramatic. And language is very powerful. You use language that is catastrophic. Like to Courtney, you said, just put a gun to my head and get it over with. You are the very life in my body. Without you, I have no life. I'm such a terrible mother to cause you to cut yourself, but let you return week after week to the scene of the crime. The good news is that I will never be able to steal your happiness again. I will always love you more than you will ever know, even though you, the one person who I never thought would abandon me, did. I mean, my God, you're like a soap opera on repeat. This is how you talk to yourself. It's how you talk to yourself, and language is very powerful. And when you use that language, there's no other way to feel than just so put upon and so burdened. To Christopher, I've not said an angry word to her since our argument about her messes. Why don't you just take the gun and put it to the head and blow my brains out? So you're going to have stereo guns to your head because you want them both to blow your brains out. You're allowing her to lie. You're feeding her fire. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying, sir. My emotions were completely out of control because my whole world had just been ripped apart.
No, your whole world hadn't been ripped apart because you and I are on the same world. And if it had been ripped apart, I would have fallen off the globe. It hasn't been ripped apart. Your world hasn't been ripped apart. You have been inconvenienced about things that matter. The most important thing in your life is that your daughter is healthy and happy.
Yes, it is.
Okay? What you should thank God for every morning is that she is healthy, that she's beautiful and articulate and bright. Your daughter is sitting right here, and she says, I want my mother in my life. If you will just calm down and get yourself under control and realize you don't have to be the victim all the time.
That's fine, sir, and I want
Let me tell you a problem. You started talking the split second I stopped. And what I know is that you had to be thinking of what you were going to say while I was talking, because you're not smart enough to be thinking that fast to formulate your answer in the 10th of a second between when I stopped and you started, which means you weren't listening to me. You were thinking what you were going to say.
I was listening to you.
There you go.
No, sir. No, I'm listening to you.
Do you need Dr. Phil's help? Text Phill to 88500 and share your story for a chance to appear on the show. Standard message and data rates may apply.
If you are going to be in the Los Angeles area and you would like free tickets, go to drphil.com and click on Be in the Audience.
Or you can call 323-461-PHIL. Unless you really get some help, and unless you really recognize that you have to inspire rather than dictate a relationship with your daughter, she's not going to want to have a relationship with you. But you can have what you want. Let me tell you, if you will just do some things that I'm telling you here, this situation can be a great deal better in a very short period of time.
That's what I would like.
It really, really can. She is going to have to learn to trust you again, and it's going to be a day at a time. It's not going to be a success-only journey. But you need to recognize that she's an adult.
I do.
And if you're going to have a relationship, it's going to be because she wants to. And we want to be around people that, when we've been around them, we feel better about who we are. I promise you, I like to be around people that when I'm finished being around them, I feel better about myself. I don't like to be around people that when I finish being around them, I feel worse about myself. That's a pretty simple equation. And, you know, we all know people that when they come in the room, it feels like somebody left. And they just suck the energy out of the room.
Yes, sir, I do know people like that.
And we're around people that when they're around, we just go, oh my God. I'll bet you can be a lot of fun.
I can be. Yes, sir, I can be.
If they don't have to live with you or no, seriously.
You know, Dr. Phill, I make big messes in my house. I make outrageous messes in my house. But when I'm done, I pick them up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't care. Okay,
I know.
I don't care what you do with them. What I care is what you do with your daughter, because I want you to have what you want. This is a wonderful young lady here.
I know she is.
I want you to have a relationship with her, but to do that, you need some help to calm yourself down and recognize that this is her option and you need to earn it, and just as she does with you. And are you seeing a therapist now?
Currently, no.
Are you willing to?
Yes, sir.
I'm willing to arrange that for you.
Okay.
And I'm going to pick them.
Okay. That's fine.
Ready to get real? Go to drphil.com for advice on relationships, parenting, finances, and more. Plus, weigh in on your favorite episodes, share your stories, and find support in the Dr. Phill community. When you sign up for the community, you will automatically be subscribed to the Dr. Phill Show newsletter. Log on to drphil.com today. We're going to take a little turn and meet a mother-daughter who actually get along great. The only thing they're battling is father time. Take a look.
I started feeling overwhelmed with the signs of aging about 7 years ago. When I look at my face in the mirror, I see the crow's feet. I wish I would have not laid in the sun so much because I've ruined my skin.
I do this a lot, so I'm noticing that I'm starting to gain lines in there. I want to make sure that I have that opportunity to stop it before I'm feeling like she does.
Every day I wash my face, my skin starts looking flaky and dull. I pile on moisturizer. I put it on pretty thick. The makeup is staying in the creases of my crow's feet, the 11 line. This is my 11 line. You see, you got 2 lines that go down each spot right here.
So I have that?
Well, you will probably.
If my face is feeling a little dry, then I'll decide to put on moisturizer, but every now and then I'll tend to use an exfoliator maybe once a week. It's not that I don't care about what I put on my face, it's just my lack of knowledge on what's gonna be best for my skin. I barely wear makeup. Mom tells me I'm gonna have to wear it one day.
Guilty. I recently turned 50. It worries me now that the wrinkles are just gonna get worse quicker.
So we decided to send beauty expert Jamie Krell to pay this pair a visit. Let's see what she had to say.
I understand that each of you have major concerns about anti-aging, specifically fine lines and wrinkles. Is that true?
That's correct.
I'm starting to notice wrinkles on my forehead. Ultimately, I want to make sure that these aren't going to be a concern.
There are really easy, simple things that you can do where your skin will really benefit from these ideas and tips I'm going to share with you today. So the 3 major categories are sun protection, diet, and skincare. In terms of sun exposure, do you sit out in the sun? Do you go to the tanning beds?
I worked at a tanning salon for a few years, and I would tan probably 3 to 4 times a week.
A week?
A week.
I'm going to try to block that from my mind, but that is awful. Sun exposure is the #1 cause of premature aging. Protect yourself when you are out in the sun. Sunscreen, hat, and sunglasses are always a must. Okay, now tell me about you, kiddo.
If I do go out in the sun, I do put on sunscreen, but I try to avoid it if at all possible.
That's why your skin looks so beautiful, and we want to keep it that way. So today I'm going to share with you even more tips and information to keep your skin looking and feeling its very best. So tell me a little bit about how your diet is.
Well, sometimes I take a vitamin, and then, you know, I usually try to eat right.
A multivitamin is great, but studies have shown that it's actually more beneficial to get those vitamins from the whole foods and fruits and vegetables themselves. So my first suggestion is to eat a diet that is high in antioxidants. Blueberries really pack some of the biggest punch when it comes to antioxidants. A great source of vitamin A comes from carrots or sweet potatoes. Vitamin C and E come from kale, dark grapes, strawberries. So these are things that you should be noshing on, and it can actually help reverse some of that damage that you see today. I try to encourage people to stick to the outer perimeter of the supermarket because that's where the fresh fruits and veggies and whole foods are. These are easy, effective ideas, and you'll nourish the cells in your body from within, and as a result, your skin will glow. Now let's talk about your skincare routine.
Well, typically, I use bar soap. I notice that I have some dry, flaky, irritated skin.
Well, some soaps can strip essential moisture from the skin and really throw off your pH balance. So that's what could be causing the dryness and the irritation.
Something else that bothers me is the makeup settles into the lines in my forehead, the crow's feet, around my face.
I definitely don't want to have that problem. I'm not great about wearing makeup now, but eventually that's something that I'm going to have to do.
For you, Jodine, I would recommend something that is brand new and just launched. It's from Boots No. 7. It's called their Restore and Renew Day and Night Serum. It's really easy to use every morning and every evening right after cleansing, and you will see that this targets and tackles all of your anti-aging concerns. So it's going to put the moisture back into your skin, and this is clinically proven to actually deliver those anti-aging benefits specifically targeted towards mature skin. So I want you to take this, start using it immediately.
Thank you.
Okay, now for you, Jen, I want to give you one of my personal favorites. It's from Boots No. 7. It's called the Protect and Perfect Intense Advanced Serum. When this product launched over in the UK, it became the fastest selling anti-aging serum. They actually were selling one every 10 seconds. Wow. It's clinically proven to take care and reduce the appearance of those lines and wrinkles in just 4 weeks. So I want to give you this. Start using it right away. I want to let you ladies know you can go and get these right at Target, and they're less than $30. I want you both to be able to start on this path to clear, amazing, beautiful skin. So Boots No. 7 wants to give you each a 1-year supply. So you can start today.
It's awesome.
The results will only get better over time, and you will have the best skin ever.
And so you can also try it for yourself. Everyone in the audience is going home with both Boots serums today. All right? I want to thank all of my guests today. Now, if you've been estranged from a loved one, do you find yourself the black sheep of the family? Have you ever thought to yourself, you know, Dr. Phill just might be my only answer? If so, write to me. Send me an email. I want to hear from you. You can reach us at drphil.com. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.
Today on Dr. Phill, did this mom abandon her family?
I did not kick you out. They chose to leave. I feel they abandoned me.
They've barely spoken in 12 years.
How do you sleep at night?
You really think this is the time to attack this woman?
But at this reunion,
I have never seen such self-righteous right fighters in my life.
They're not afraid to speak their minds.
I want to know if there's a mental problem.
It could be genetic, so you could all be nutso. Let's do it. Why don't we stop all the drama, stop all the fighting, and let's go get you better.
Here we go. Have a good show, everybody.
If I can help get this family back on track, are you willing to do that?
Ready, free. Take.
This is going to be a changing day in your life. Go, Dr. Phill. Okay, now they were a typical all-American family. A mom and dad who loved one another and 4 children who were thick as thieves. Now, life was good, or was it? Now, no one in this family can seem to agree. The divide started the day Mom decided to divorce Dad. Take a look.
My parents divorced 12 years ago. My mom abandoned me and my siblings. My dad was a great dad growing up. I didn't think my parents would get divorced. I didn't think their marriage was really in trouble.
When my husband drank, he was very belligerent, very violent. One night, he was urinating in the hallway because he was so drunk he thought he was in the bathroom. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. So I went to the courthouse and I filed the restraining order to safely get him out of the house.
An emergency order of protection is for when your life is in danger, and that wasn't the case. My dad was very shocked and crying when he came and told me about it. I was crying, I was upset. Our whole life just got turned upside down for no reason. It was a huge shock to all of us.
The children should not have been surprised after everything they had seen and witnessed at the house. Carlin encouraged me to leave him. Carlin had even asked me, why do you stay married to him? So I don't know why she, of all of the children, would have turned her back on me.
My brothers and I testified in the hearing on my dad's behalf because we did not see or witness any signs of physical abuse in our home. My sister Alyssa took my mother's side during the hearing. I had never seen my mother this way before. I never had seen her so hateful in my life. Shortly after I was at work, my mom called me and told me I needed to come get all my stuff. It was sitting outside. When I pulled up to my mom's house, everything that I had there was in the driveway. This is the house that I grew up in. When she threw me out of the house, my mom threw all my stuff out. It was all sitting right up there by the garage, by the bushes.
When my children found out that I had filed a restraining order, they came to the house while I was at work and took a lot of furniture and TV. I was very angry. I could not believe they felt they had to sneak in behind my back and steal it. I was so upset that I went ahead then and changed the locks on the door and changed the code to open the garage door. I was afraid they'd come steal me blind while I was at work.
I don't know how a mom can throw her kids out of the house.
I was devastated when the kids left and sided with him. They never gave me a chance to explain my side. They did not phone me. They did not call to ask any questions. It was just almost like they dropped off the face of the earth.
She hates us because we have a relationship with our father, and I do not understand how a mom can do that to her kids.
Now, Carlin says she lives 5 miles from her mother, but they have barely spoken or seen one another in 12 years. Now, Jody's youngest daughter, Alyssa, tells a completely different story of who caused this family's drama.
I'd blame Carlin for destroying my family. She tore it all apart, ripped it up into pieces. My father was the start of it, but I think she's the one that kept it going. Carlin is probably the most manipulative person I know. Pretty evil. She is the one that always held the connection with all of us siblings. So however she reacted, she wanted the boys to react the same way. I don't know why they did it this way. I think it was wrong. I was civil with them through the divorce, with all of them, including my father. And every time I would say, why don't you talk about them? They flat out would just drop it. I have said I am an only child because I haven't talked to them in over 10 years. It makes me upset that they've done this to my mother. She doesn't deserve it. She was the one that was always there. She was a great mom, and all of a sudden they just turned on her. With Carlin being kind of the ringleader, I could see my brothers wanting to maybe reach out. If Carlin knew, they would get an earful. Why stick your whole body in a piranha tank? If you don't do something that she approves of, be ready to feel her wrath.
Okay, so you two haven't seen each other in quite some time.
Correct.
How long?
Probably about 12 and a half years.
Really? And you live 5 miles away?
Mm-hmm.
Look, why are we here today? What do you want from me?
I am hoping to get some answers of why I feel they abandoned me. I did not kick you out. I did not move. I did not change my phone number. They made it very clear to Alyssa and other family members, everyone in my whole entire family, they do not have any communication with.
Okay, so you want to prove up your victim
role? No. I want to know why.
You want to prove up your victim role. You said, I want to know why they abandoned me. I didn't abandon them. They abandoned me, and I want to prove that up.
I did not kick them out of the house. They chose to leave.
You can't keep changing the subject.
Okay.
I ask you a question, and you change the subject and give a non-responsive, not even answer, just a completely different comment. Now, you're here for a reason. You want something from me. I'm not going to come in here and just let people kind of crosstalk. I want to know why you're really here.
I would like to resolve the issue with my children. I've missed them.
Now, do you want to resolve it or do you want to be right?
No, I want to resolve it.
And how about you?
I think it would be nice to bury the hatchet, I guess. You know, I mean, I was civil with all of them for the first year.
I didn't
when
ask you
everything
to
happened.
defend yourself. I asked you what you wanted. Listen, because I've read everything you guys have said, and I have never seen such a bunch of sanctimonious, self-righteous right fighters in my life. And I didn't ask you to defend yourself. I said, how about you? Do you want to resolve it?
I do.
You said 2 words about resolving and said, now, as for me, really?
I do want to resolve it. I do.
Why?
I feel that I've missed out on things in their life. I feel that they've missed out on our life. I mean, you know, we have so many family events and activities, and they're not part of them.
Does it really matter who's right?
No.
Why have you been fighting for 12 years to be right? I mean, think about that. What do you want? Why are you here?
I want to know how a mom can abandon 3 out of her 4 children. How you can do that to your kids, how you can drive by your daughter's house. I don't even know if it's fixable.
How sounds like an indictment. Because you're saying, how could she do that? How bad a mother could you be? You don't believe you did anything to justify being cut off by your mother, being an outcast, do you?
I don't think so.
Then why did you say that? You're not really asking for an answer to that. What you're saying is indict her. She's a bad mother. She backed out. She turned her back, dumped us kids, and I want that straightened up.
That's true. When I called her a year ago, she said, I said, Mom, she said, who is this? I said, your daughter, Carlin. She calls me back. I asked her for some photos. She called me back a couple of days later, said, Carlin, this is Jody. First of all, how did you get my number? After your daughter called
You're telling me this because why?
That's not a normal response for a mom.
Okay, I didn't ask you if it was normal or not. I asked you why you're telling me this. What is your desired result?
My desired result is to just, I guess, just get an understanding of what did we do to
Why are you
deserve
telling me this?
Because I always want your opinion. Whenever something happens, I always want to know, what would Dr. Phill have to say about this? Like, this isn't normal for a mom to treat her kids this way.
Okay, so you already know that it's not normal, so you don't need me to tell you that. You just want me to join you.
I want to know if there's a mental problem or something going on.
Okay. That's not the case.
I don't have a mental problem.
Well, if she is, it could be genetic.
Possibly.
So you could all be nutso.
Well, then take the whole family.
Well, we'll take you all out back. All right. Look, I'm here for a reason.
And I want to know if it's fixable.
Yes.
Okay.
It's fixable if you're fixable. If you're fixable, if you're fixable. If you decide that you're tired of being right and you want to be happy. All right, let's take a break. Mom thinks the real problem is that Carlin is just jealous of Alyssa, who she calls her shining star. We'll be right back.
Alyssa is my shining star. It makes me angry that they've abandoned Alyssa. She really did nothing to deserve any of this. Carlin and Alyssa were never real close when they were growing up. I don't think Carlin really liked her. She was often mean and picked on her. Carlin would purposely trip her or make her fall down. I assume now that it's because Carlin was jealous of her. Alyssa is my shining star. She's always happy, she's always pleasant, she's accomplished lots in her life. It makes me angry that they've abandoned Alyssa. If you really want to do this to me, you know, so be it. But she really did nothing to deserve any of this.
Well, that was Jody, who says her eldest daughter, Carlin, is selfish, while her youngest daughter, Alyssa, is her shining star. So you're not proud of her?
Oh, I am proud of her.
How do you know? You haven't seen her in 12 and a half years.
I do not know her as an adult. I know a few things about her from others, but...
How do you feel about that? Did you ever
it breaks my heart.
Did you ever think at this time in your life that you would be talking about your daughter and say, I don't even know anything about her as an adult?
Absolutely not.
We ask you all a lot of questions,
Absolutely.
and you've been very forthcoming. And I thought you were very honest and unfiltered, as were you. And
Thank you.
As were you, Terry. All of y'all were very forthcoming. So I got to pull an analysis of what descriptors you used for the two. Jody says her feud with Carlin started after the divorce, but it's hard to believe when you hear the way she talks about the differences between the two girls. When she's talking about Alyssa, she says, my shining star, always happy, pleasant, sees the brighter side of things, has such a big, bright, beautiful smile. You do have a beautiful smile.
Thank you.
Such a blessing to me and helped through the dark days. Always makes me smile and warms my heart. Always been very close, but divorce brought me even closer. Talk to her 3 or 4 times a day. When she visits, I just don't even want to let her leave.
That's true.
Yeah.
But she has 4 kids.
It's everybody's
I know that.
daughter you would want.
I know that.
Now, Carlin, you had a different set of adjectives for her. Very selfish and self-centered, always acted like an only child in a 4-child family, a princess, would never do anything to break a nail or a sweat, the boss of everyone.
She was. When they were little children, they'd go out to play in the yard.
What are you, her mini-me? Every time she says something,
I'm just, no.
You said this all started with a divorce. I mean, you're describing her as a child, as being selfish, self-centered, a princess, boss of everyone.
When they'd go out to play when they were little, she'd line them up in the yard and a couple of the cousins, and she would say, okay, today we're playing Care Bears, and you be Funshine Bear, and you be this bear, and you be this bear. She even told them what bear they had to be, and they all said, okay.
We were kids
I understand that, but you were always bossy.
I know, right? No. Such a horrible person.
How dare you? I wanted to be Fun Bear.
Sorry. It's just showing a personality
She was always bossy.
trait.
She was always in control and had to be the boss of everything.
So?
She just was. No, she just was.
So, what's your point?
They all followed her around and played whatever she wanted to play.
Okay, is
So
that-
she's always been bossy.
Or a leader?
That's,
A leader?
yeah, maybe so. I don't know her as an adult. It's very sad. It's very sad.
Wow. You got a divorce.
I did. Thank God.
And I don't know. I didn't know your husband, and I know that you have described him in some very unflattering ways. But I don't know him, but I do know you got a divorce. Divorce is very difficult on children.
Yes, it is.
You were supportive of her decision during the divorce, correct? Mm-hmm. You've been supportive over the whole way. You and your brothers were shocked by it, you say.
We were shocked.
You were brokenhearted by it and shocked by it.
We were shocked about how it started.
Right. And it bothered you, and there was a hearing for a protective order.
Yes.
And you sided with your father about the protective order because you felt like
We testified that the emergency order protection was untrue. There was no need for a domestic violence, restraining order, any of that. That was a shock.
Why? Why was there no need
We
for
never
it?
saw Dad hit Mom, punch Mom, never saw her with bruises. They'd argue, yes, but never physical violence. We never saw any of that. We never grew up with that.
Okay.
You did.
We did not.
You did grow up with that.
Children don't really know everything there is to know about what happens between a husband and a wife. And so it's hard for them to make informed decisions. You don't know what she said to him or he said to her when you weren't around. You don't know what happened behind closed doors. You don't know everything that goes on in the interactions between a husband and wife. And oftentimes, that's by design. She
Exactly.
might protect you from some of that awareness. He might protect you from some of that awareness. So for you to pass judgment about that, you're uninformed, and it's unfair for you to do that, to sit in judgment about that, which it's also unfair. It's why I say adults should not drag children into adult issues.
Exactly.
You should not have children at the time getting up and testifying, taking positions, taking sides, weighing in on things of that nature. It's just not right to do. It's difficult enough for children to watch their family fragment without putting them into the battle zone and having them make decisions where they feel like if I side with one, I'm betraying the other. And it's interesting that the one that you seem to be happiest with was coincidentally the one that supported you.
Correct. You can divorce your spouse. You don't divorce your kids. And I felt like she divorced all
I
of
did not
us.
divorce you.
You
Carlin,
had nothing
you
to
used
do
to
with this
ask me,
since.
why do you stay married to him?
Yes.
You'd ask me that.
But you don't understand, that doesn't matter. She's a child. At the time, she's a child.
And I have something else to say about protecting your children. If she's such a protector, when she first started dating Terry, we got into an argument, my mother and I. He stepped in, he threw me on the ground, grabbed my hair and grabbed my throat and threw me on the ground. She did nothing to protect me.
That's not true.
Is that because you went to punch him in the face and he was protecting himself?
That is not true.
All right, let's take a break. Up next, Jody says Carlin is the cause of all the family drama and has brainwashed her sons against her. Well, we're going to talk to one of those sons. He has a view, and we'll hear what it is when we come back.
I believe there are blatant lies being told here. My daughter Carlin, I feel, is the ringleader of the group. She rules what should or shouldn't happen, and the boys just follow her and do whatever she says. I think she is the main reason that they do not contact me as well.
I was most upset about my mother making false allegations against my dad about physical abuse and emotional abuse. There was never any physical abuse at all. I went with my brother to the house to try to talk to my mother about the situation. She didn't want to speak to us and told us that we needed to get off the property, otherwise she was going to call the cops on us. My mother never tried to even explain anything at all. She had kicked us out of the house. I was completely lost, emotionally hurt. I had noticed a major change in my mom to where she did not seem like that person that helped raise us. She was different. She just seemed like an evil person. I've only spoken to my mother maybe twice in the last 12 years. My mother is a person that I no longer know.
Blake, what do you want to see happen here?
I just want answers as far as, why everything happened, why, she's never tried to get into any contact with us, because when my parents did get divorced, Alyssa, my brother, and Carlin, we all stayed close. So Alyssa, with her still staying close to our mother, she could have given our mother our phone numbers.
You told me you didn't want me to give Mom your numbers.
I never said that one bit.
Whenever I would come over to see you guys or visit, and I would say, maybe you guys should go talk to Mom or something, or give her your number, and you guys would always say, drop it. No, we're not doing that. Yes, it is true, and you know it's true.
No, it's
you guys
not.
always did that, and it was so unfair. I tried so hard to keep it together with everybody, but you guys always just bashed everybody, and you refused to even give any information at all. And you know you refused to give information.
Let me just ask everybody here, and listen, just make a decision about this. I've said that you are a bunch of right fighters. Now, I just timed your response to 37 seconds. Is that how you want to spend your time here today?
No.
Do you want to spend your time with me on national television justifying yourself about whether he told her or you told him not to give somebody their phone number? Is that really how you want to spend your time?
I'm just saying, in response to his question, he's saying that we
because you need to set the record straight. You got to be right about this, right?
I am right.
Okay, just so we got it. So you're right.
No, I'm just saying, he was saying that we never tried to contact him, when in reality,
we're now passing 2 minutes. Keep going.
They didn't want us.
We can be talking about fixing things, but we're going to get you right. We're passing 2.5 minutes. Keep going.
Okay, I'll stop.
No, seriously, you want to be right. This is what you came for.
I don't want to be right.
You want everybody to know you're right when you go home.
I guess I want to get clarification, because I think that there is a lot of he said, she said, which, and it was so long ago.
Clarification is that what you said is right.
I'm not saying I'm right.
Yes, you are. You spent the last 3 minutes now saying you're right.
I'm saying.
Don't you hate it when I'm right?
You are right.
No.
I can play the tape back and we can listen to it again and you can get stopwatch and time it.
I'm saying it's hard for me to listen to them say that she didn't contact them when
it's a mess.
It's hard. It is. It's hard for me to hear them say that when I feel like that they didn't want anything to do with her. They were mad from the beginning. They were mad. That was the thing.
But here's the problem. This is a big room, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could fill it 10 times over with what you don't know about what you're talking about.
That may be.
It's not maybe. You don't know a damn thing about the dynamics of the impact of divorce and fragmented families on children at the time it happens. You know your experience of it.
Right.
But you don't know his experience of it. You don't know her experience of it. Listen, guys, come on. There's nothing you're going to say that is going to convince me that you as a mother are justified in not being a leader in this family and bringing everybody back together. You got a divorce. That's your decision. And it is your right to make it, and you do not need your children's approval to do it. You had to make a decision, and I'm not judging that decision. Have I asked you one question about that?
No.
I'm not asking you, was he really this way? Did he really do that? Did he really do the other? I'm not asking you about that. I'm not judging you about that. You had to make a decision. And what I know is your history, according to all of your children, those that are in contact with you now and those who aren't, is that you spent your life as a loving, devoted, and caring mother.
Thank you, I did.
That you nurtured him, that you nurtured his brother, that you nurtured her, that you nurtured her, that you sacrificed, that you did so much for your family. Agreed?
Yeah, we were
Agreed?
kids.
Agreed.
Nobody questions that. So I can only assume that if you made a decision to exit this marriage, that it was after careful consideration and deliberation. I question how it was played out with these children. I question the fact that when they had a reaction to it, where they didn't side with you, agree with you, support you in it, that created a fracture that has gone on for 12 years. I made a list, just a partial list. This isn't an exhaustive list. It's just a partial list of what you have missed in the time that has gone on. 12 years of birthdays, Thanksgiving, Christmases, Easters, and Mother's Days. You missed Jordan's high school graduation. You missed Blake's wedding. You missed Carlin's 2 college graduations, Jordan's homecoming from Iraq and is going to Iraq, the birth of your grandson Andrew's surgery, the birth of a granddaughter, Liliana, Carlin's buying a house, Carlin's engagement, all of these things that you could and should be a central figure in have been passed because of a blow-up 12 and a half years ago. Are you kidding me?
Oh, it breaks my heart.
Does it make sense to you?
Goodness, no, it's
Then
never
why
made
don't
sense.
you lead this family out of this mess?
I'd love to.
I'm not talking to you right now. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Why not lead this family out of this mess?
I would love to lead them out of
Why
this mess.
Why not forgive everybody for everything that's been done? Why not forgive yourself for what you've done? Why not ask forgiveness for things you may not have done? Why not just hit the reset button and start this thing over? You can't change what's happened. It seems to me that there comes a point where you just got to say, you know what? If, God forbid, you know what a fine young man you have here?
I do.
A contributing member of society. This is a really fine young man you have here. Can you imagine if, God forbid, something catastrophic happens to one of these children? And what you say is, well, they're now gone forever, and I spent the last 12 and a half years out of no contact because I didn't like what happened during a short period of time of emotional upheaval in our family that they didn't ask for. They hooked their wagons to our stars as mother and father. We ran it off in the ditch.
Right.
They got caught up in the crossfire. I didn't like the choices they made, whether it was abandoning me, turning their back, whatever you call it. And now they're gone.
There's not a day goes by I don't think about him or pray for him.
I've been wanting to know, how do you sleep at night? When you don't
really, you really think this is the time
that.
to attack this woman?
No, I've asked
You really
that.
think, given the rhetoric that we're embracing here and where I'm taking this, you think that the next reasonable comment is, how do you sleep at night, woman?
That's what I had asked her before. She said that she's think about it. So I've wondered if she has.
Every day. Every day.
Coming up, Jody is closer to Blake's ex-wife than she is to her own son. We're going to find out why when we come back, and I'm going to tell you why I think this thing has veered off so badly. You're going to be surprised what I think the catalyst is.
Even after all the incidents that occurred, even though Alyssa lived with Jody, we all kept in touch with Alyssa. I was very close to Alyssa. We were the two youngest of the kids. Blake invited both Jody and Alyssa at his wedding. He wanted his family there. I talked to Alyssa several times, and she gave me every excuse in the book. I explained to her my ultimatum: if you don't go to your brother's wedding, as much as it hurt me to say, I won't speak to you after this. I just can't comprehend how you couldn't go to your own brother's wedding. Alyssa feels she's an only child because her brothers and sisters are trash. That hurt even more. That just cemented everything. For her to disown the rest of us, it's a slap in the face.
I never thought they were trash. I never said that. I don't believe that.
Yeah. So that's how he thinks.
And it's sad.
It's a shame.
Very
They've
sad.
seen posts on Facebook. That's why that's why we believe that. We don't believe it for no reason.
How's this going for you so far?
Interesting.
You know what's going to happen? Y'all are going to leave here in a few minutes, and you're going to all go backstage, and you may actually bond in standing against me, which would be okay. Because you can go backstage and say, well, that didn't go like I thought it was. I thought he was going to help us, and all he did was pick on us. Yeah, I'm trying to shake this up because you're on self-destruct here.
Absolutely.
You're absolutely on self-destruct. Do y'all believe in the power of language? You know what I mean when I say the power of language? Words are powerful, aren't they? And I listen to everything y'all say in your interviews. I read everything you say in your interviews. Everything. Every word. And a pattern jumped out at me. You guys have a way of using catastrophic language to describe non-catastrophic events. You're talking about it, you say, the straw that broke the camel's back. They went behind my back to steal me blind. I was devastated. You were devastated?
I was devastated.
You were just devastated. What is devastated? Is that where, like, your body parts fall off of you and you're laying it? Oh, come on. I'm serious. Devastated? They dropped off the face of the earth. My children dropped off the face of the earth. I hate it when that happens. The world's just turning around and people are just falling off of the earth. They're not my daughters anymore. Whose daughters are they? I didn't know there was a window to go to where you could say, I'm turning these in. I want a reissue here. I probably would have done it a few times if I thought you could. And you call myself an only child, turned her back on us. It's like putting your head in a piranha tank.
Yeah.
Seriously? Have you ever seen piranhas attack a bleeding animal?
They go after you.
It's like putting your head in a piranha tank. You mess with her, you're going to feel her wrath. You're going to get an earful. It's torn all apart. They have just ripped our family to pieces, just ripped it to pieces. I mean, you just pull around, there's hair, teeth, and eyes everywhere. Oh, my God. They've ripped our family to pieces. They've turned on her. You are the ringleader.
I guess.
You are the ringleader. And Mom is dead to me. Turned our world upside down. Threw my things out of the house. I saw them stacked in the driveway. They looked like they had been neatly stacked in the driveway. It didn't look like they had been thrown out of there in a frenzy. They threw my brothers out. You can throw him out? I
didn't throw anybody out.
Blake says, kicked us out. She is an evil person. No longer knows who she is, like they couldn't pick you out of a lineup. Brothers and sisters are trash, he says. Jordan says it's like a slap in the face. Just a slap in the face. Come on. Guys, do you wonder why you're all so upset? This is melodramatic, catastrophic language. Calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down. You're not devastated.
I was when it first happened.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You remained vertical. You remained coherent. You could talk. You are now.
I cried in bed for a couple days. But
You were sad. I was sad. That's what it was.
A lot of this is going to come back and be laid at your feet.
Exactly.
Don't help me, Jesus.
I'm just saying, I agree with you.
The last conversation I had with Carlin, she had phoned me and wanted to know if she could get photos I'd had of all the children as they were growing up. That was really all I had to hang on to, and I was not willing to give them up. They were the only happy memories I had left. They'd taken everything else. Carlin said, well, I am your daughter. And I told her, you're not my daughter. My daughter would not treat me this way. That was the last I heard from Carlin.
Well, Jody says she doesn't consider Carlin her daughter anymore. Carlin says her mother is dead to her. Now, Jody...
Can I correct that?
Sure.
I didn't say that she is dead. I said that...
Oh, yes, you did.
No. I said that it's like she's dead, but it's worse because she's not dead, but she doesn't care to be there for her kids.
That's better?
It's worse.
I raised them alone for almost 10 years. I don't understand how this could have happened. I don't know how it went from not speaking.
Does it matter?
No, but I don't know how it got so out of control.
If you start taking inventory, you're not going to like it because you're the boss. You're the mother. You're the parent. You're the one that sets the tone, guides through the maze. So a lot of this is going to come back and be laid at your feet.
Exactly.
Don't help me, Jesus.
I'm just saying, I agree with you. I agree with you. That's how it should be. So how do we fix this? Or is it fixable?
Maybe 12 and a half years is not long enough.
You feel my pain?
No, seriously. You have...
I agree.
You have really bad timing.
Okay.
You know, my dad used to tell me, boy, don't you ever miss a good chance to shut up. Okay?
But you're saying how I feel. What you're saying is how I feel.
My dad used to say, boy, don't ever miss a good chance to shut up. Then what you should do is just bask in that quietly. What you want to do right now is stop talking.
Okay.
Okay? Because I'm trying to make some progress here and you're not helping.
Okay.
Every situation needs a hero.
I don't know how this went from one day to a month to a year to 2, 3, 4. I don't know how it got so out of control. Please, can we start over?
Let me tell you something. You want to know something about her?
Absolutely.
She has a really good heart. And she really loves you a lot. She even loves you a lot. And she misses you a lot. And there are parts of life that you can only share in a meaningful way with your own people. And extended family is very, very important when children are growing up. Mm-hmm. You know, to learn that somebody loves them besides just their mom and dad. Mm-hmm. You know, there's like grandparents and aunts and uncles that they can feel safe with. It's how they begin to expand their radius in life. It's how they learn, you know, that they can go further and do good things. And this guy that you guys are kind of demonizing down here, all he ever had the audacity to do was love your mother. He's not trying to be your dad. He just loves your mother. And you know, I've just always had a soft spot for people that loved my children, my family. Somebody's good to my family. I always felt a kind of a kindness to people that were good to my family. And he's been a soft place for your mother to fall. Mm-hmm. He didn't ask for any of this. I am just asking you guys to hit a reset button here. Every situation needs a hero. that just says, look, I don't know how we got in this mess. I probably made some mistakes in the way that this unfolded. Perhaps I misread y'all's readiness for this divorce. Perhaps you got too involved in it. And maybe I got my feelings hurt and y'all got your feelings hurt. And I don't know where the first link in that chain was, but I know where the link is that I am now. And I'm extending an olive branch. I just want to love y'all and be loved by y'all. And you know how you do it? You start out by having some boundaries. You start out by saying, let's all get together in a public place where perhaps we'll have some inhibition to having a throwdown. And the boundary is we're not going to talk about anything that's happened. We're just going to be in the moment. We're just going to be in the moment and enjoy each other's company and see the kids and just have a non-judgmental good time. And then we're going to try to build on that. And I am more than happy to bring some professionals in here that can kind of unravel this ball of yarn behind closed doors for y'all, individually and collectively, to help bring some peace to this situation.
Thank you.
But it begins with somebody standing up and saying, this situation needs a hero, and since I'm the mom, it's going to be me. Because I say enough is enough. It's time that we start loving each other up again, and I'm going to be the first one to extend that offer. And that's my suggestion.
Thank you.
To you. Not because it's your fault, not because you have any bigger role into anybody else, although I believe you do because you're the parent, but just because somebody has to, and it might as well be you.
Absolutely. I love you, Carlin, and I love you, Blakely, both. I never have not loved you. Please, can we start over? I don't know how this went from one day to a month to a year to 2, 3, 4. I don't know how it got so out of control, but I would like it to end. Absolutely.
I want to end this, and
I do want to end this.
I want to end it.
Will you accept that offer?
Yes, I'll accept it.
Will you accept that offer?
I'll accept the offer.
And just a step, I'm not saying just a step at a time. A step at a time. Fair enough?
Yeah, it's fair.
And I will get help to facilitate beyond that step.
Thank you.
Make sense? Mm-hmm. All right, coming up, tips for parents when talking to their kids about divorce. We'll be right back. Yeah, we've been talking about divorce, and I want to give you some tips about talking to your children if a divorce is imminent. First, you need to be as honest with them as possible, but you have to do it in an age-appropriate way. And I know that term gets used a lot, but it just really means you don't take them into concepts they don't understand. And you need to acknowledge their feelings. And so what are they? Well, they're going to be scared. They're going to be confused. And children always have a way of figuring out how things are their fault in some way. They might hear mom and dad arguing about money, for example, and you could be arguing about mortgage payments or something really big, but they'll go sit on their bed and say, wow, if I didn't need $11.80 for school pictures, maybe mom and dad wouldn't be getting a divorce. They do have a way of figuring out how it's their fault, so you have to acknowledge those feelings. Be fair when talking about the other parent. It doesn't help you if they don't have a relationship with their other parent. That will come back to haunt you. Let them know they didn't cause this in any way whatsoever. Tell them their parents love them, even though their feelings for each other may have changed. But let them know that both parents love them very, very much. I'll have more information about all this on drphill.com. I appreciate you guys being here today and talking about this, and I am going to provide some help and guidance after this, but take it a step at a time. It doesn't matter. In the final analysis, it doesn't matter who said what to who back when. What matters is where you go from here. Not even God can change what has happened.
Right.
What you need to focus on is where you are now and what will happen. So we'll be working on this. Thanks for being here. So long.
Dr. Phill.
I haven't seen my dad for 2 years, and I want to confront him.
Her father doesn't suspect.
Can I hug my daughter?
No, you're not going to hug me.
The bombshell she's about to drop.
I know you have paid someone to kill Shannon.
What is wrong with you, girl?
Did you hire a hitman to kill your daughter?
Hell no.
She says you went by the house and shot it up with a gun.
I did not do it, and don't ask me anymore.
I'll ask you what I want to ask you. Why is it upsetting for you to hear this?
It's a lie.
If you was my girl at home, you'd be getting your ass kicked.
You'll probably have me murdered after this.
Why would I kill you when I love you? And
You do not love me!
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by, Dr. Phill.
I'll try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. On August 3rd, 2009, 40-year-old Shannon was found dead in her car at the bottom of a cliff on Walker Trail in Sevierville, Tennessee. Initially, the Highway Patrol ruled Shannon's death as a tragic accident. But 2 days later, based on the autopsy report, the sheriff ruled Shannon's death a homicide. The case still remains unsolved.
With her sister's ring on her finger and picture hanging above, Shannon Hurcutt is never far from Penny Stevens' mind.
It's been a nightmare.
On August 3rd, 2009, Hurcutt's body was discovered in her SUV at the bottom of a county embankment. What appeared to be an accident turned into a murder investigation, one that remains unsolved.
At first, investigators thought her SUV had gone off the road in an accident, but an autopsy revealed she had been beaten in the head at her home before she was put in her vehicle.
But that is where her story stalls.
We haven't ruled out anybody in this case. Everybody's suspect.
Hurcutt's murder is still unsolved.
We only have one chance to prove who murdered Shannon. Justice will be served.
Shannon's sister Penny and Father Ted both say they knew from the beginning that this was no traffic accident. But that is the only opinion they share. Now, while Ted says he suspects someone in the community of killing her, Penny is pointing her finger at someone a little closer to home.
When I heard about my sister's death, my first thought was my dad had this done. The police told us she lost control of her car and went over a cliff. 3 days after the accident, the police went to her house, and in her garage, they found evidence of a struggle. There was broken bottles with a baseball bat and blood on the refrigerator. That's when they realized it was a homicide. My dad has told me if he ever wanted to get rid of someone, he knew how to get the job done. I believe that my dad murdered my sister because he thought he was going to get her business when she died. In his state of mind, Shannon was a problem, and that problem needed to be fixed. I truly believe that my father has paid someone to kill my sister and make it look like an accident. 3 months after her death, my dad shot up her business with a .22. One day I confronted him, and he looked at me and said, "Yes, I did, and I'm proud of it." My dad is cold-hearted, controlling, and if you're in his way, watch out. My dad is very sick, and I can't let him get away with this if he truly has done this to my sister.
Okay, Penny, I'm glad to meet you. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm very sorry for the occasion of our conversation. You believe that your own father, the man that gave birth to you and your sister,
Yes.
you believe that your father has murdered your sister.
He had someone murder her, yes.
You believe this is a murder for hire.
Yes.
You believe that he hired a hitman
Yes.
to go in and murder your sister.
Yes.
And you believe this person went in and bashed her head in with a baseball bat and placed her in the car and made it look like an accident?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But yet he walks free today.
Oh, yeah. And I fear for my life 24/7 because I just know how he is. And I got a part of my sister's business, and he's all about money and greed.
All right, now he's here today. Your father's here today. He's not watching this part of the show. We have him in the green room, and he has no idea that you are going to look him in the eye and accuse him of murder. You're not speaking to him right now. You two haven't talked for a couple of years.
Right. Deep in my heart, he knows I know, but he thinks I'm too weak to stand up and confront him.
You want this on national television. You want people to know because it makes it harder for them to come after you now.
Yes.
When you found out about this, you were where?
I was in Myrtle Beach.
With?
With my dad, his wife at the time, and my 11-year-old daughter.
Okay, so your father was not in town. He was with you in Myrtle Beach, which is how far away?
A good 6 hours, I do believe.
Okay, so he personally certainly had an alibi because he was with you.
Right.
6 hours away. You think that's an accident? You think he did that on purpose?
He did it on purpose.
How did you react when you heard about your sister's death?
Right away, I knew it was a murder, and I knew my dad had something to do with it.
But he's on record of saying he didn't think this was an accident and he thought there should be an investigation.
But he's a pathological liar. He always has been.
And you have no proof. You just have a feeling.
My gut feeling.
You understand, this is a very serious allegation. You're getting ready to go on national television and accuse your father of murder.
I know, and I hate it with a passion. But I've been living in fear for 5 years.
Well, Penny's father is here, and she's going to reveal her suspicions, her allegations, her accusations to him right here after the break.
I want to tell my dad how I've been feeling. I believe that my dad murdered my sister, and he's going to be shocked, and he's going to be furious when he hears it. And I'm going to fear for my life after I tell him.
Coming up.
I know you have paid someone to kill Shannon. As of right now, the reward to find the murderer for my sister is $45,000. So far, no one's come forward. I haven't seen my dad for 2 years, and I want to confront him. I truly believe that my father has paid someone to kill my sister.
Penny's 40-year-old sister, Shannon, was found dead in her car at the bottom of a cliff on August 3rd, 2009. The case, which was ruled a homicide, is still unsolved to this day. But Penny feels, she says in her gut, that her father did something to harm her sister. Now, the something, it bothers me when people say, I think he had something to do with it. The something that she says he had to do with it was hire a hitman to bash her sister's head in, kill her, and cover it up to make it look like an accident. While Penny's father, Ted, doesn't know about her suspicions, he admits he was questioned by authorities after Shannon's death, but insists he was not involved, he had nothing to do with it.
At the time of Shannon's death, we were not getting along. There was a lawsuit, and she included me in it. I was angry. She was always having her attorney send me letters and threatening me. When Shannon died, our feelings were still bitter. I was at Myrtle Beach when I got the phone call that Shannon died. He told me that Shannon had an accident and she was dead. And I lost it. She didn't have a seatbelt on, and right away I said, something's wrong. That's not Shannon. The investigators came to the conclusion that Shannon was murdered. The person that killed her was trying to make it look like an accident. She had a large gash in the back of her head where she was hit in the head with a ball bat. I was considered a suspect, but I was never charged for her murder. I was not involved in my daughter's murder. I love my daughter. Just because we were in a feud, I would not kill my daughter. About 3 months after Shannon's murder, someone shot up her business with a gun. I was never asked or questioned or anything about it. I think I read it in the paper. I don't know who did that. I lost one daughter through death, and I lost my other daughter, Penny, through just a bad relationship. She doesn't want anything to do with me. I hope we get this resolved.
Well, as I said, Ted is actually here. He has not been listening to the show up to this point, but he's joining us now. So, Ted, come on out. Ted, Dr. Phill, good to meet you, sir.
My pleasure, Dr. Phill.
Have a seat.
Can I hug my daughter?
No, you're not going to hug me.
Let me say, first off, I'm very sorry for your loss. I know it's been a while, but just dad to dad, I cannot imagine the pain of burying one of your children. It's a natural order of things. I just can't imagine.
Worst thing a man could ever go through, a father.
And when you learned about this, what was your initial thought and reaction?
On Shannon's murder, I was in Myrtle Beach with my ex-wife and my daughter Penny and my granddaughter. And my ex-son-in-law called, because he was a policeman, and said, Ted, Shannon was in a terrible accident and she died.
Good acting, Dad.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't talk.
And at that point, you believed it was an accident?
Yes. But then the State Highway Patrol called me when we was on our way home and says that Shannon had her window down and no seatbelt on. And I told him, I said, something's wrong.
Well, let me ask you something. What is it you're here to say to your father? Look him in the eye and say to him what you want to say to him.
I know you have paid someone to kill Shannon. And don't sit there and act like you're so innocent. And then you admitted to me that you shot up Antebellum's.
I don't know where you're getting your story. I have been cleared by the sheriff's department.
He's lying. He's a pathological liar, and he knows he is.
What is wrong with you, girl? I have never lied, because liars always get caught in lies.
And you're going to get caught, Dad.
Yeah. Penny, you have really got a very, very serious problems. I have invited you over for mushroom dinners twice. You have refused.
We're not here to talk about dinner. We're here to talk about murder. If you believe he murdered your sister, then you need to tell him, and you need to tell him why you believe that. Look, let's take a break here. Penny says she feels her father, Ted, was motivated by money to kill her sister, Shannon, and the alleged proof is how Shannon handled her will. We'll talk about that right after the break.
I don't know where you dream this stuff up at, but you really are doing a damn good job of it. And if you was my girl at home, you'd be getting your ass kicked.
You'll probably have me murdered after this. That's what.
Why would I kill you when I love you and I still love you?
You do not love me! My sister Shannon was a very successful businesswoman. My dad thought he was in her will. Then after she was murdered, he found out she had taken him out. He was furious. I witnessed his anger. I'm not real sure why she took him out of the will, but I know they were arguing and fighting at the time of her death.
It is not true that I thought I was going to be in Shannon's will. Anybody would say that I would kill my daughter for money or crazy because I had money.
I believe money was the motivation for him to kill her.
Well, I'm here with Penny and Ted, and I'm talking to them about the death of Ted's other daughter, Shannon. Investigators say Shannon first was the victim of a terrible car accident going down a 125-foot ravine. Now, autopsy changed the whole case, and it went from accident to homicide. It's still unsolved. Penny says that for years she has suspected her father, Ted, was behind Shannon's death, and the motive was money. Now, you say the motive was money because you say he believed that he was in her will and was going to inherit a substantial amount of a substantial fortune.
At the time of the will, when Dad found out everything, he was furious.
Well, the first will was drawn in 2003, correct?
Yeah.
And it said that she bequeathed essentially all of her properties and that 29% of this was to go to Ted, correct?
Yeah.
That was in 2003. But then a second will was done in 2006, at which time it said, "It is my specific intent that neither my father Ted nor his spouse inherit anything from my estate." And this is what you say he learned about at the time and became outraged.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
Did you believe you were in her will?
No, I never. First I've ever seen that.
Were you outraged when you found out you were not in the will?
No, I was not outraged. I had money. I did not need my daughter's money. Matter of fact, Shannon told me that, "Dad, I want to put you half on my business, that you own half of it." I said, "No, Shannon, I don't want that."
Why is it upsetting for you to hear this?
It's all lies. It's all lies.
How do you know that it's lies?
I just know it is. When he found out I was involved in Shannon's will, which I never knew, he thought he would use me to get back at my cousin that has the business now.
Right now, I can see, Penny, you are a very, very sick lady, and you really need some help.
I do need some help, Dad. That's why I'm here at Dr. Phill.
And accuse me of murdering your sister, my daughter?
After Shannon was murdered, and me and my daughter came up to see you afterwards, and we were walking out to leave, and before we left, you said, "Honey, I just want you to know Aunt Shannon brought this on herself." Like you were telling her you're sorry that you did it. Why would you say something to an 11-year-old?
I don't know where you dream this stuff up at, but you really are doing a damn good job of it. And if you was my girl at home, you'd be getting your ass kicked.
No, you'll probably have me murdered after this. That's what.
You are crazy, girl.
It's okay.
I
was prepared for this, Dad.
Why would I
this.
kill you when I love you and I still love you?
You do not love me!
You're crazy. You are absolutely crazy.
You never loved Mom. You never loved Shannon. Never loved me. You know it.
I love
and
your
it
mom.
got worse after you and Mom divorced. You always said
the divorce. I didn't get a divorce, my wife. I got to divorce you. You fought me more than your mother did.
Oh, that's
Oh, huh? How about
You're
going?
such a psycho.
Well, let me ask you something. She says she's been afraid of you for a long time. She says that when she was younger, she was bothered by a teacher, and you went by the teacher's house and shot it up with a gun. Did you do that?
No. I don't know what you...
Did you do
woman,
that, and did you then tell her about that and tell her if she told anybody you'd kill her?
No.
Did he tell you if you told anybody he'd kill you?
Yes. He told me, you better not say it or you'll be next.
You are such a liar.
Did you shoot up a teacher's house?
No, I did not.
Did you shoot through a window?
No.
Did you take a gun and go shoot up your daughter's business?
No, I did not. Penny knows that Shannon had a whole lot of enemies.
Well, I'm not asking about her enemies. I'm asking about you.
No, I did
Did you go
not.
shoot up your daughter's business?
No, I did not. I was not ever questioned about it.
Well, I didn't ask you your question. You're being questioned about it now.
Yes, but I mean, by the law enforcement, I've never been questioned about it.
Did you hire a hitman to kill your daughter?
Hell no.
Ted's estranged third wife had something to say about this case. We're going to hear why she claims she is afraid of this man she married. And she was only married to him for 3 weeks. And, well, that's right. And he got an annulment. It wasn't her, it was him. He got an annulment because he said he found out things about her that he did not know. We'll be right back.
After we were married, I discovered that Ted had a dark side. I do believe Ted is responsible for his daughter's murder.
Penny and her father, Ted, haven't seen each other or spoken to each other in 2 years until today. Now, Penny threw her father a shocking curveball earlier when she revealed that she thought he was behind her sister's 2009 murder. Now, what that means very specifically is she says she thinks he hired a hitman that went to his daughter, bashed her head in with a baseball bat in the garage, then put her in the car and pushed it or drove it over a cliff. It went down 125 feet and initially was considered an accident, but now is considered an open homicide case. Ted vehemently denies having any involvement in his daughter's death. And let me be very clear. I have not seen or heard one shred of evidence from Penny or anyone else that he had anything to do with his daughter's death. I'll be very clear about that. I haven't seen a shred of evidence about that. I've just heard allegations. Now, Ted's estranged third wife, Jan, supports Penny's suspicions of Ted. Maybe she has some evidence that this man hired a hitman to murder his daughter. But Ted says he was only married to Jan for 3 weeks before he threw in the towel on the marriage. Here's what Jan has to say.
6 months ago, Ted and I were only married for 3 weeks. After we were married, I discovered that Ted had a dark side. I do believe Ted is responsible for his daughter's murder. I think that because he told me he knew details of her murder that only the person involved would know. He knew how the murderers hid outside and how they got into her garage. Ted told me that she was hit in the back of the head with a baseball bat. He told me that there were 3 people that murdered his daughter. 3 months after Shannon's murder, somebody went to her business and shot up the business. He told me he was the one that shot up the business. Ted told me that if I had told anybody, that he would make me disappear. I'm scared to be here, but I'm here anyway. If anything happens to me, I want you guys to know that I came freely and willingly because I want peace in my life, and I don't want to be threatened anymore. I believe Ted is that dangerous.
Jan, thank you for joining us and being here. You were married for 3 weeks to him.
Correct.
And then he asked for an annulment.
No, I kicked him out of my house.
You kicked him out.
Yes.
Okay, well, we've got a little timeline here of this marriage because, it's a very short timeline. You got married on June 27th of 14.
Yes.
Then you separate on 7/21 of 2014. That's when you said you kicked him out.
Correct.
And the plaintiff discovered the defendant had a prior criminal history. He discovered that you had a criminal history.
I told him that in the beginning because he even said he told me he had a
No,
back.
you didn't.
Further,
we sat
he
right there at the table, and I told you.
Yeah, you said further, he has
liar.
discovered that you had forged his name on a checking account and that you had placed unauthorized charges on his personal credit cards.
That's not right, because he told me when we were dating, my debts were his debts.
Well, he said you jacked him for $8,400.
He's a liar. Yeah, you're a liar.
You're nothing but a damn con. You con your first husband, you con your second one.
Listen, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I kind of always believed that when you got married, it wasn't his money and her money, it was just our money. I've been married 38 years, and I don't have any of my money. It's kind of like noon the first day, it was our money, which was just, and that apparently worked out because I've been at it for 38 years. Here's my point. He may be the biggest ass in the world. I don't know. I don't know you, so I'm not saying that. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that he behaves like a jerk. That is a long way from hiring a hitman to kill your child. So what is it that you know about him? What behavior did you see? What evidence do you have that says this man is involved in a murder for hire plot?
He told me that he had shot up Shannon's business. And he told me what he shot it up with. He told me he took plates off of a vehicle that looked like his and put them on his, and that way they wouldn't know it was him.
So he told you he did that?
Yes, he did.
Did you tell her you did that?
No, I did not.
I'm not saying you did or didn't, but did you say you did?
No, I did not.
Why would she say you did?
Because she lost the goose that laid the golden egg. It was paying her damn way. She's fixing to lose her home, her car, and she is pissed. And she's nothing but a damn liar and a thief.
So he told you that he went up and shot her business. Was it a specific gun?
It was a .22.
A .22?
Yes.
Okay, and then was there an occasion when the county was looking to find out if that gun existed and if he owned a gun?
Penny had sent him a text and said, Dad, the Pigeon Forge police are coming here for the guns. You need to get here and get them because I don't want to be responsible. And he jumped in his truck and he took off as fast as he could go to get to Pigeon Forge to get those guns as fast as he could. He said to me, while he was on his way there, he knew he was being set up by Penny. I just knew it. I just knew I was being set up. He got those guns, brought them back to my house. I said, I don't want those guns in my house.
Did that gun include the .22?
I think it did, yes, because the guns were, he sold the guns. Did that happen?
Did you race over there to get the guns?
Yeah, Penny wanted them out of there because those guns actually didn't really belong to me. I wanted to get them out. And because the guns that I had there, the woman stole my...
Why did you want to get them out?
Shut up.
Why did you want to get them out?
Why? Because she demanded I got them out.
Well, now, wait a minute. You were informed that the police were coming to get the guns.
No. No.
Yes, you were.
You didn't know the police...
She just wanted me to get that and anything that I had in the house.
So you didn't know the police were coming to get the guns?
No. So your whole deal, you and Jan, are here to have me convicted of murdering my daughter.
I don't know what her deal is.
I don't either. You know, she doesn't even have a dog in this damn fight. Not one at all. Just that she lost the goose that laid the golden egg for you, and you got it.
No goose at all.
I know.
At least a goose could do something.
Yeah. This goose ain't giving your ass any more money, I can tell you that right now.
You're a liar.
I think the liar is over on the other side with the other liar.
Did he tell you that he knew how to get rid of people?
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
He told me if I had told anybody about the shooting, he would get rid of me the same as he's gotten rid of other people, and they could disappear real fast without even being missed.
You're full of I never said such thing to you.
Did you say that he hired, quote, a black guy to harass you?
Yes, he did. He would call him up. He worked for him.
He called you one time.
He called me 3 times.
Well, I sure as hell don't know about it. And when you text back, you call here again, I'll have you arrested. I told him, don't you ever call that bitch back again, because that's exactly what you are, is a bitch.
Really?
Well, Jan says Ted actually reenacted the crime scene for her once. We'll talk about that when we come back.
I did not do it. Don't ask me no more. But
I'll ask you what I want to ask you. Don't tell me what not to ask you.
I'm sorry.
The hell you...
As a kid, my dad shot up a teacher's house and took me by it and showed me what he had done. My dad also would put poison in raw hamburger and throw it into neighbors' yards. The dogs would eat it, they would die. He's a very evil person.
Well, I'm talking to father and daughter Ted and Penny, who haven't seen or spoken to each other in 2 years. Penny's sister Shannon was murdered in 2009, and their relationship hasn't been the same since, especially since Penny has always thought Ted had a hand in Shannon's death. Specifically, she thinks he hired a hitman to murder her sister. Now, Ted's estranged wife, Jan, says he even reenacted the crime scene for her once. Tell me what you mean.
He took me to where the truck was parked. He told me it was a blue truck. He told me that there were 3 people, that they got out. He showed me where they walked, how they walked through, that they hid by the bushes. When the garage door went up, they went in there.
They hid in the bushes by her house.
Yes. And his fact about the teacher, you told me you did that, and you not told me you did it once, you told me you did it twice.
You have spent a whole lot of time discussing a story with Penny, haven't you, dear?
I never met Penny until Friday.
You two are, and you're here as her friend? Oh,
yes.
My God.
Wait a minute.
Nobody said a friend.
Never met her before.
Well, get over your shock of that. You did shoot up the teacher's house, though, right?
I didn't do nothing illegal. I am as honest as
the
me.
statute of limitations is run on that.
I
have
not done nothing.
You didn't scare a teacher that was really being inappropriate with your daughter?
No.
I mean, nobody could blame.
I'm not the only person you told that to.
Did you tell people you did it?
No.
You never even told anybody you did it? Even if you didn't do it, you never told anybody you did it?
No.
You didn't tell neighbors you did it? You didn't tell Jan did it? You didn't tell your daughter you did it? There's a lot of people that don't even know each other to say you did it.
I thought that we were here.
I'm just asking you if you told people you did it.
I did not do it, and don't ask me no more. But
I'll ask you what I want to ask you. Don't tell me what not to ask you.
I'm sorry.
The hell you...
I'm sorry.
I'm being nice. I'm asking you legitimate questions here. I'm just asking, did you even tell people you did it?
No, I did not. I did not do it.
Did you shoot up your daughter's place of business?
No.
I'm giving you a chance to answer the questions.
Yeah, I've been asked several times now. I'm kind of
I will take a lie detector test. Will you?
And I'll take a polygraph test too, would you?
You know what I would like to take a polygraph test? Yes, I'd take a polygraph test because I did not kill my daughter.
Would you take one right here, right now at Dr. Phil's show?
And, yeah.
I don't care. I did not kill my daughter. And those would be the questions I would answer to. I did not kill my daughter.
And you knew nothing about her murder. You had nothing to plan it with.
No. You know, I don't know where in the hell you're coming from. Even got a dog in this fight. Besides, you're nothing but a damn gold digger.
If I was a gold digger, I would have stuck on to you.
No,
because you can't do anything else.
When you said get out, you thought I knew about you charging on my credit cards.
You knew it.
No, I did not do it.
They even told me that
if I do it, then how come did they give me all my money back? They gave me every damn penny of it, and you're pissed.
Did you ever take a polygraph test?
No.
Were you asked to take a polygraph test?
Yes, you were.
When?
The sheriff's department asked you.
They told me they already know, and I did not kill my daughter.
We're going to take a break here, and I'm going to come back, and I want to speak to this father and daughter. Maybe it's the last time they'll ever be together. I don't know. So I'm gonna thank Jan for her time and contribution here. When we come back, I'm gonna speak to this father and daughter alone, just at a family level. And as we go to break, let's take a moment to remember 40-year-old Shannon, who lost her life on August 3rd, 2009.
Shannon was a very motivated person. She loved to have fun, loved to joke. She loved to smile and laugh. She was always the life of the party.
She was very beautiful. She had a very beautiful smile. Just an enjoyable person altogether. I miss Shannon. She was really the love of my life. I miss her very much.
Well, Penny, Ted, look, I don't know what has happened to Shannon. It's been a number of years. There has been a lot of investigative efforts towards this. The case is still open. I hope what we're doing here today will keep a bright light over this case. And
I just want to be protected from him or anybody else. I fear for my life.
Well, I certainly think after this show, I would think that he would be nervous that you would even sprain an ankle, because I think people would certainly be all over him. If anything happened to you, he better hope nobody does anything to you, because he would sure be in a pickle. If they did, he would be the prime suspect. I know that you have a lot of unfinished emotional business with your father. There's a lot of open wounds that you have with your dad. I don't know whether your father hired someone to kill your sister or not. I have to assume he didn't, because I see absolutely no evidence that you had any involvement in her death whatsoever. I just see no evidence to that. I know that you have a lot of unfinished emotional business with him. You did describe him in a lot of ways. You said that he was always very critical of you, that he wanted boys, not girls. He criticized you for being fat. He just blamed you for the divorce. There's been a lot of dysfunction in this family. I think your father's been under attack here today. There's been accusations made against him, and he kind of kept his cool for a little while, and then I think he showed his teeth some here and showed that he can go from zero to jerk in like 1.3 seconds if somebody pushes his buttons, and I think he's not always the easiest person in the world to live with. So I think you're in a lot of pain, and I think you need some help with that, and I want to get you some help with that. You've gotten this off your chest. He knows how you feel here, and I hope you'll be patient in this and hope that this relationship can be healed in some way.
She hated Shannon because Shannon was a successful businesswoman, and she was not. Shannon was a slender girl. Well, Shannon took care of herself.
Yeah, I appreciate you pointing that out, and I'm certain that that's very comforting to her, that you remind her of that contrast, and I think that's a very insensitive thing for you to do. That is unkind. Stop talking. A reward of $45,000 is being offered for information leading to the arrest and conviction of a person or persons involved in the homicide of Shannon. $25,000 came from the state of Tennessee, and $20,000 is being offered from Shannon's estate. If you have any information, please call the Sevierville County Sheriff's Department at 865-453-4668. We'll also have a link on our website today. I want to thank all of my guests for being here today, and we hope someone will be brought to justice here, and we hope there will be some healing in this family and relationship. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Today on an all-new Dr. Phill, their son went from star athlete to homeless moocher.
I sleep at schools, park benches. When my parents are home, I'll sleep in the shed.
They kicked him out.
Did you tell your mother, I'm not leaving, you can't get me out of here because I'm bigger than you?
I did.
Where do you get off doing that?
But now,
what is it you blame them for? What did they do?
They're in for a shock.
How can you possibly accuse us of doing that?
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Take a look at this high school student, Ian, who was an accomplished athlete, an honor student with a scholarship to play college basketball. So how did he go from this to being homeless, living on the streets, and sometimes sleeping in this shed just a few years later? What if I told you his parents say being homeless was fundamentally Ian's choice ever since they stopped letting him live off their money? Now, Ian's parents claim they're sick and tired of helping out their once successful son, who they say has turned into an unemployed college dropout who just smokes pot and plays video games. Now, Ian's claims since he can't live at home, he'll just live out on the streets.
Ian was a very wonderful child.
I was a good student. I did AP. I was an honor roll. I made the presidential list one time.
Ian was a great athlete. He loved playing sports.
I loved the game of basketball, and I always had dreams of being a professional, but it didn't work out.
When Ian went to college, he actually had been using marijuana.
I fell in love with smoking. I was smoking every day. My third year of college, I lost motivation to go to college, and I dropped out, and I never went back.
We let him move back in our house with the idea that he would figure out what he wanted to do with his life.
In the year that Ian lived with us, Ian basically did nothing. He didn't get a job. He would sleep super late. He would be at home playing video games. 3 months ago, we had to kick Ian out of our home.
We got a restraining order.
I was shocked when they said that. At first, I thought I was being punked.
The police showed up and had to remove Ian from our home. Ian's tried to come home a couple of times. The very first time that he returned home, my husband and Ian had an argument and the police had to be called. Ian was arrested. He spent overnight in jail.
When I was arrested, I was legally searched. I was not read my Miranda rights. I was being a to the cop because I do know my rights.
Ian has been out of the house for roughly 3 months. He started sleeping on the street.
This whole situation tears me apart. To see him throw his life away is really, really hard. It's very devastating. I just want to know what happened to that fun-loving kid that I sent off to college.
Okay, what did happen in y'all's opinion?
He came home from university at Christmas time, and he went back, and I started receiving these weird texts that said, "Mom, you know I'm not gay, right?" And I said, "Okay." And then he'd say that people were watching him, and his professors knew what he was doing all of the time, and
sports-wise, how was that going for him?
Well, he was in his third year. He no longer played college sports. But according to his friends from college, he stopped going to open gyms. He just sat and played video games and smoked pot all day.
Okay. So he was on a scholarship to begin with.
For 2 years, yes.
Uh-huh.
We didn't see a shift until that third year.
Okay. Now, you said that he acted weird on a family vacation.
This is when it got scary. I mean, to be honest with you, is that we brought him on a trip with us, and you could see that, you know, this looks like Ian, but what he was doing was horrible. I mean, it was schizophrenic is the best way I can describe it. I mean, you're talking personality where he's just sitting there looking off into space and with a big smile on his face, and you're thinking, you know, almost like he was high just for an instant. And then all of a sudden that personality would go away and he would shake it off. And then all of a sudden then he'd be talking to somebody next to him. There's nobody there.
Did you ever talk to him and say, hey, buddy, you know, a few minutes ago, you were talking to somebody that wasn't there?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, there was several times.
Did you do that?
Yes.
And what did he say?
I sometimes talk to myself. Does that bother you? He was constantly making excuses for it.
In July of 2014, he had a drug test because he was involved in rehab, and he tested positive for marijuana, THC.
Correct.
But negative for everything else.
Yes.
Have you talked to him about the marijuana, and what does he say?
He tells us that it's legal and that he should be able to do what he wants.
You basically said, I want you to move out.
Yes.
He said, I'm not leaving.
Yes.
You
It
can't make me leave.
came down to, he told me that, how are you going to make me move? I'm bigger than you. And so we got a restraining order.
So now he's living on the street with a knapsack as a pillow and a park bench as a bed. That is, unless he's sneaking back onto the property and sleeping in his parents' shed unbeknownst to them.
Since Ian's been kicked out, I'm not sure how Ian spends his day.
I spend my days at the library, riding the bus. I day sleeping also, just sort of passing the time. This is my pack. I keep a pair of pants, got a jacket, keep my winter coat with me. The streets are cold out here.
I see him on the street. He's looking for a bus.
I sleep at schools, stadiums, park benches, anywhere I can find.
I saw him one morning sleeping on a bench in the park close by our home. I couldn't help him. He looked all alone.
The streets are tough out here. I wouldn't recommend this lifestyle for anyone, truthfully. When my parents are home, I'll sleep in the shed. I come in here and sleep. When it's raining, I don't tell them. I try to stay away from it during the day. It's usually just like a halfway house. It sucks, but it's a lot better than sleeping on concrete. Sometimes when my parents are home, I'll sneak in the house. I'll make a sandwich and like Pop-Tarts and stuff.
No.
Oh, you want that one?
Yeah.
Recently, I've been able to come home for dinner, and I don't try and like overstay my welcome. I blame my parents for how I am right now.
Okay, it's good to meet you.
Thank you. Good to meet you too.
You blame your parents for how you are right now. What is it you blame them for? What did they do?
They say that I'm not complying to their rules and stuff, but I feel like I've obeyed 99.9% of them, and if I am disobeying them, I'm not doing it on purpose. Like, I'm not doing it to spite them, you know, like.
Ian, did you or did you not smoke weed in our house?
I did.
Is that a rule?
Obviously, it's not courteous.
Ian, we made that rule. We told you. You said if we find out you're drinking, find out you're smoking weed, you know what, the opportunity to live at home again when you were, 21 years old was gone. We had these rules, and we said you're going to follow them.
I'm not sure that it's your guys' business of what I'm doing in my room because I am paying rent.
Well, and that's exactly it. And that's the part where you get to be a grown adult, and that's why you're in the situation that you're in.
Did you tell your mother, I'm not leaving, you can't get me out of here because I'm bigger than you?
I did.
Where the hell do you get off doing that? And later...
Ian, how can you possibly accuse us of doing that to you?
That's a serious allegation. If it's true, it could and should ruin their lives.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phill, the shocking viral video.
An alleged bully went after a visually impaired student.
He said he didn't know you were blind.
He knew. He would call me blind.
A classmate stops the attack.
I saw the kid getting into Austin's face. Why would you have to hurt him?
Now the boy hailed as a hero. And the blind teen speak out.
Honestly, I feel like you saved my life.
That's tomorrow.
We've seen a lot of Dr. Phill shows that had to do with moochers.
He lives in his parents' garage.
My 37-year-old son is a freeloader.
You're laying on your ass in the garage till 2 in the afternoon? That's not okay.
Several of the things that Dr. Phill has mentioned, we should not enable our child. It's a tough line for me. I've asked myself many, many times, what did I do wrong?
Is this your fault?
No.
Do you blame yourself for him being on the street? I mean, be honest.
I wonder what we did wrong. I mean, there isn't a day that goes by that I don't wonder where he's at, what he's doing, is he okay? But truly, I feel like I've been the best parent that I possibly can.
Then why is this eating you alive?
Because he seems to not be bothered by it. It's almost like he's a very different person. He's showing a lack of any kind of get up and go. Like, he's 22. Make something of himself.
Well, this comes down to, I mean, when we raised him, I mean, we're hardworking people, both of us are, and we raised our kids to be, I feel like, we raised them in a fashion for success, to be able to do, you know, whatever success means to them. You know, I feel like that we've created those opportunities for you to be able to do that, and now I feel like that you choose to live on the street.
Their question is, where did that guy go?
And my answer is to jail, to the streets.
Okay, and this was way...
I'm never calling the cops on my own son. I'm never sending my own son to the streets to live outside.
Okay, hold on, Ian.
I'm never going to do a lot of the things that they do, but they are my parents, and I do respect that.
Did you tell your mother, I'm not leaving, you can't get me out of here because I'm bigger than you?
I did.
Where the hell do you get off doing that?
And I agree, but...
Who do you think you are to tell somebody in their own home,
Doctor,
you can't get me out of here?
I would never lay a hand on my mother. Like I said, through the whole process, thought I was being punked. And
what made that okay with you to say that to her?
I mean, I've been with this woman through everything. I felt like I was being attacked, low-key. Like, I don't know, I feel like I have a certain set of rights, and they weren't being given to me, you know?
So you felt like you were entitled to be there. This is your house, too.
Well, in my defense, I do pay rent.
You didn't pay rent the last month and a half that you were staying at our house.
I was evicted June 12th, which is, you're supposed to get out of an establishment where you're paying rent. We didn't have a contract. You are supposed to get 14 days notice if they're going to evict you. So why would I pay rent at a place where I know I'm going to get evicted in 14 days?
This didn't happen over a 2-week period. You know what? The final straw, when we said, you know what, Ian, it's done. You got 2 weeks, make it happen, because there's no screwing around this time. We gave you...
And they also tried to kick me out before that. 3
months in the process. Said, hey, Ian, it's time for you to, you know, you want to do your own things. It's everything from doing dishes to doing chores around the house to getting a job. I mean, everything is just like, everything is like, I'll do it in my timeline. And when you get questioned on it, you remember me questioning you on something? It's like, okay, Ian, you know, you don't have a job yet. You've been looking for a job? Yep, been looking for a job. How much time you spend in that? None of your business.
That's not...
No, that is not a lie. You told me that.
No, I didn't.
Ian, talking about this stuff, I am not lying on TV, Ian. Okay.
Well, I looked at the police report, and here's what they wrote down. I arrived and saw Ian riding his skateboard in the driveway at David's residence. I detained Ian, cuffing him and placing him in the back of my patrol truck. I talked to David and Rachel. Ian had not been in the house and had not caused any disturbance. They both wanted to press charges for violation of the protection order. I talked to Ian. He said he had been served a court order, but he said he didn't think it was real. He appeared to be under the influence of something or slightly mentally ill. Now, this is when they picked you up on the 18th of June. Were you high when they picked you up?
No, sir.
All right, so what's really going on with Ian? Is he just enjoying the extended summer vacation? Or is something really wrong? His parents are saying, why is it okay with him? His parents think he may actually be suffering some type of PTSD after experiencing some kind of traumatic abuse. They're just full of questions. They don't know. We'll talk about this, and maybe Ian can shed some light on all of this when we come back.
Ian's behavior has been very odd.
He's said some very off-the-wall things.
It's so bizarre. I don't know what to believe anymore.
And later, when they did what they did, then they got to own the result. And the result is you resent the hell out of them for that.
And I do blame them.
How would you like to make Dr. Phill history? Log on to omaze.com/Robin to donate for a chance at a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
A very special guest is going to walk a day in my shoes. You and a friend will fly out to Los Angeles, get all glammed up, and get the hair done, and get your makeup done. We're gonna have a ball. And then you'll join me here on the set, right here, for a very special taping of the Dr. Phill Show. Here's where we make history. At the end of the show, you will become the first fan ever to join me and Philip on national television for our signature walk-on. And the best part of all is that all entries support my foundation, When Georgia Smiled. And it's only $10. That's right. For $10, you get a chance to walk a day in my shoes and be a part of all of this.
My husband and I are very conservative.
I don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs, I don't swear.
My family is very strict.
We have rules in our home that our children must obey.
This whole thing that we are doing was never meant to disown him. Ian wants to do things his own way. You can do what you want to do, but it's not here.
My parents think that I am using them. They see me as their deadbeat son that can't find a job. I don't think they give me enough credit.
Well, we're talking to 22-year-old Ian, whose parents, Rachel and Tino, predicted would be a huge success when he headed off to college with a basketball scholarship, having graduated with all A's in honors classes from high school. So where did things get off track from what they had as a vision for their son?
Ian's behavior has been very odd.
He's just said some very off-the-wall things.
Ian accused my husband and I of doing drugs. Ian accused my husband and I of poking him with needles. The most shocking thing that Ian has done, he texted one of his friends that my husband and I were raping him.
I know it sounds very far-fetched, but I have accused them of raping me. I do wake up sometimes with needle marks on my arms.
When he said that, complete astonishment is what came through my mind.
That was just preposterous. I have no idea where he would even come up with that.
I am gang-related, so I know what drugs do to you. I don't know, it's difficult to, like, explain.
I think that Ian has a mental illness, very possibly has schizophrenia.
I think that it's out of their hands now. I think that I'm in the system, and it's a system that is designed to fail. It's a trap. Young black males are either dead or in jail.
Having to deal with all of this is a nightmare. It's so bizarre. I don't know what to believe anymore.
You said that your parents drugged you and raped you.
Like I said, it is very far-fetched. So as far as the accusation, I'll own it in saying that, yes, I have.
You have what?
I have accused them of doing so.
Ian, how can you possibly accuse us of doing that to you?
That's a serious allegation. If it's true, it could and should ruin their lives. It's either a serious allegation or it's definitely slander, one of the two. There's no middle ground here.
Absolutely.
So you truly believe that this is a possibility?
Yes.
Uh-huh. And what's your basis for believing that it could have happened? What do you point to? You said you found needle marks?
I have.
Where were the needle marks?
on my abdomen, on my forearms. I've had a few like right on my artery, like right here, like.
Did you get photo evidence of that? Did you have them?
Well, I wasn't aware that we were going to be talking about this, but no, I didn't.
Do you have needle marks today?
If I do, I'm not looking for them anymore. You guys have pretty much ruled it out and made me look stupid for even accusing you, so.
I mean, if you seriously think that you got raped, you should be seeing a psychologist. You should be seeing a doctor and saying, hey, you know what? I think this is happening. Check me out.
And I have. I did take a mental health evaluation, and it did come back negative.
Well, I didn't know they could be positive or negative.
Truthfully. However,
but
I did take.
You say that they may have raped you, drugged you, and raped you.
They may have.
Has anyone else ever perpetrated this on you?
No.
Ian, remember when you told me that happened at college as well? Then why did you just tell him that didn't happen?
Because I'm trying to prove a point here. That you guys changed your story on everything.
Did you tell them you'd been raped in college?
As a man, I believe that it is something that you should try and overcome. Like I said, I am gang related. I'm not going to get into it on TV. I have been around the life. I've been around drugs.
But you're in a gang?
Yes, I have been in a gang.
Okay. And did you tell your mother that you had raped others?
I've told them that I've participated in initiation.
I have a really definitive question that I think is going to maybe clear a lot of things up here. I'm going to ask Ian right after the break. We'll be right back.
Thursday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Oprah Winfrey!
Oprah is back.
How y'all doing?
Her new life.
I'm cleaning out my office in Chicago. I'm still letting go.
Her new passions.
You've changed a lot. So why did you stop this?
Her new series.
This is the biggest human event on Earth. You hear about love stories, but this is a love story.
Okay, I'm going to cry over that.
That's Thursday.
Do you believe that you have suffered an injustice at the hands of these two people that put you, as you describe it, a young black man into the system and therefore have sealed your fate in this life?
I'm not going to say that it sealed my fate. I think that it's, at this point, it's out of their hands, like there's really nothing they can do about it, and I do blame them for it.
Do you believe that when you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences?
I say that when you choose it, you have to own it.
When they did what they did, they chose to put you out using the law, then they got to own the result. And the result is you resent the hell out of them for that, do you not?
I don't know if resentment's the right word. I'd call it sadness. I'm sad that they would do that to their own child.
Did you choose that by violating the rules of the house? Did you choose that by smoking dope in their home?
I don't think marijuana is dope. You're probably a little funkier than me, like you're a little older, you've been in the 70s, so it was dope back then.
Let me tell you, don't let this suit fool you, because I only wear it for the camera. And I've been homeless just like you, but it wasn't because my parents put me out of the house. It's because there wasn't a house to be put out of. And it doesn't matter whether it's smoking dope or chewing gum. If it's the rules of the house and they say you can't do that here, and you choose to do that there, then they have a right to put you out. Now, let me ask you something. Are there times that you get really confused?
Not really, no.
Are there times that you're talking to yourself or someone else and you're not situationally aware?
I'll own that, yeah. I do. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
I'm not passing judgment. I'm just asking about facts.
As far as someone telling me that how I handle my brain is wrong, like, who are you to say that? Especially when I know for a fact that I'm smarter than the man that has been saying this. Like, and most geniuses are crazy. Like, you know that, right? A lot of geniuses are drug addicts too.
Do you ever consider yourself suspicious, defensive, or paranoid?
Absolutely. Defensive beyond all recognition, because I've never been able to verbally defend myself against my parents.
Do you think it was jumping to a conclusion when I asked you if you were sometimes disoriented and you responded defensively and suspiciously and in a paranoid fashion?
Is that what you're accusing me of?
I'm asking you if... Because you responded by saying, you know, you're going to tell me what to do with my brain. You're not going to say... All I ask is if you sometimes were disoriented.
No.
Okay. What would you consider your biggest achievement so far in your life?
My degree, probably.
What would you consider your biggest failure?
Never thought I'd go to jail.
And what is your biggest fear?
That I'll never be able to see my sisters again.
Well, Rachel wanted Ian to take a drug test, and he agreed. The results after the break.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phill exclusive.
An alleged bully went after a visually impaired student.
The blind student.
Why were you being hit?
Rescued by a classmate.
You saved my life.
That's tomorrow.
Rachel very much wanted Ian to take a drug test. Because your theory is he might be on something like weird.
I don't know.
You don't know. You're looking for something to explain this.
Yeah, I want some answers as to why he continues down this path that is bizarre.
Are you on some kind of drugs?
Nothing that can't be prescribed by a doctor.
Like what?
Marijuana.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Truthfully, like, I don't see the big deal in experimenting with drugs, like.
But you've experimented with what?
I've dove into meth. I've done many prescription pills. That's actually the first thing I experimented with. I've done acid, all while with my very close friends.
Well, as long as you got some friends around. Bottom line, he tested negative for everything illicit except for marijuana. I'd like to add to the conversation Dr. Frank Lawless. Dr. Frank Lawless is the chairman of the Dr. Phill Show Advisory Board. He's the co-founder of the Lawless PMP Center in Dallas. Dr. Lawless has also written the book, Not My Child. Dr. Lawless, I'm curious what your thoughts are. Ian says he's experimented with a lot of drugs, which can have an impact on his brain, of course, but he says he's a regular user of marijuana now, which is legal in his state.
Well, first of all, Ian is at a very critical, vulnerable time in his life where his brain is going through a pruning, which makes him very vulnerable to any kind of any kind of issue that has to do with judgment. Now, put on top of that, this marijuana, the THC is kind of sticky, and it creates a stickiness between your neurons. And so what happens is that it limits your judgment, plus other kinds of cognitive abilities, so that your thinking becomes circular.
And is motivation one of the things that's affected?
Absolutely. You get a lower motivation, and you get also increased depression and some level of paranoia.
Can you see major shifts in personality?
Well, what you often see is this lack of empathy.
What Dr. Lawless is talking about is when the brain is in this pruning phase, particularly for some people, that with marijuana use, not even regular or heavy marijuana use, it can create real neurological disruption. And if it continues through the pruning process, where it gets to the static phase, usually at age 25, then that damage becomes irreparable, correct?
That's correct.
And at this point, all we know is that, Ian, you have started to live your life differently, and I'm not saying that the reasons are one-dimensional, but you've said, my life isn't working. A really good theory is that you're having a bad reaction to the marijuana use at a neurological level in terms of reasoning, in terms of motivation, in terms of emotionality. But it's something that, based on research, you have to consider.
You two are the doctors, and I will consider it.
Do you need Dr. Phil's help? Text Phill to 88500 and share your story for a chance to appear on the show. Standard message and data rates may apply.
Your situation is not because they got a TRO to get you out of the house. You are where you are because of the choices you've made. The point is, this is your life. You're the one who needs to put it the way you want it. And it's not where you want it at this point. So I'm just saying, I'm willing to help you if you want some help. Dr. Lawless is head of the PNP Center in Dallas, Texas. It is, in my opinion, the top diagnostic and treatment center in the country. They evaluate people biochemically, neurologically, psychologically, medically, in every way. I'm happy to fly you there at our expense. Dr. Lawless has agreed to work you up, do a complete evaluation neurologically, find out what is going on, and see if, in fact, this is having an effect, and give you a complete plan to see where you are and come up with a plan to get you what you want in your life. They don't go, well, this is all, you're an adult, this is all between you and them. It's private between you and Dr. Lawless, and I think that's a great place to start. After that, I'm happy to get you a life coach, anything, whatever. I'm happy to help you find a job. I'm happy to do whatever is necessary to connect you in a way that you can get some traction and start getting some joy in your life. And I'm offering to do that if you want that help.
I would appreciate it. I'm a little embarrassed. Like I said, I'm not used to taking handouts, and truthfully, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for these people in front of me. However, if it means progress, I'll do it.
Yeah. I've got two sons, and one of them's about your age, and I would hope if he was off somewhere and was in a similar situation, I would pray to God above that somebody would step up and help him out if he needed it. Yeah. And I'm doing with you what I hope somebody would do with him if he was in a similar situation. And like I say, I'm not doing it to you, I'm doing it with you. Yeah. You know, let me be a friend here. Let me help you out, okay?
Appreciate it.
Next, a young woman with devastating news that she thought could find her out of work and struggling. Ready to get real? Go to drphil.com for advice on relationships, parenting, finances, and more. Plus, weigh in on your favorite episodes, share your stories, and find support in the Dr. Phil community. When you sign up for the community, you will automatically be subscribed to the Dr. Phil Show newsletter. Log on to drphil.com today. Imagine waking up and scratching under your arm, but noticing a little something. You think it's a little nothing, but the doctor says it's a big something, the big C. That's what happened to my next guest, Dana.
I was 27 at the time. I was healthy. I didn't understand what having breast cancer meant and what that was really going to mean for the rest of my life. It was horribly surreal. My family and friends, we were just completely shocked. The good news is that we caught it very early. I attacked my treatment and my cancer like a bull. I decided to do a double mastectomy because of the aggressive nature of my cancer.
This was the day of surgery, day of the mastectomy. I don't know why I let you guys take any pictures of me.
As soon as I healed after my surgery, I was immediately into my chemotherapy regime. I knew that I was going to be in and out of the office a lot. I sat down in a room full of coworkers who are all women, and I just had to tell them that, you know, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. My company that I worked for was extremely supportive. They were really there for me throughout the entire treatment and allowed me to leave for my tests and come back or work from home. When I was able to go to work, I was able to forget about my cancer for just a moment and continue on with this life I had before cancer, which was a big deal to me. I've come out the other end, and it's made me a better person. I'm sitting here 5 years out, feeling good. Running a business is crazy to me because I wasn't sure I would get here.
Well, Dana is here with us, and also joining us is our good friend, Dr. Frieda Lewis Hall, Chief Medical Officer of Pfizer. We just love having you here, so welcome back to the show.
I love being here.
So, Dana, I'm glad you're here. One of the things you had to go through, and having worked with the oncology population a lot in my career when I was in practice, people say they often deal with awkwardness about it because people don't know, do they bring it up? Do they not bring it up? What do they say? People felt awkward around you, right?
Yeah, I don't know if people know what to say. I've heard many things of, you know, oh, I'm so sorry, honey, you're just so young. And even weirder things of, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, my aunt or whoever had breast cancer and she didn't make it. And to hear something like that from, you know, a friend or a stranger is really difficult when you've just been diagnosed.
Yeah, and people don't know.
People don't. I mean, what do you say when you receive news like this, especially in a workplace, for example, where it's not close friends and family? It's so awkward, and everyone wants to be helpful. We were talking earlier. So many people have challenges with this that there's information out there that's available, like on cancerandcareers.org. There are great tips on how do you figure out saying something that is authentic, heartfelt, helpful, and not hurtful. So what to say and maybe mostly what not to say. Yeah. There was a recent survey on just that. It was commissioned by Pfizer and an organization that I just mentioned, Cancer and Careers. And in that survey, 77% of working women that were surveyed with breast cancer said that they found work to really help support their recovery. And as it turns out, that view is often held as well by healthcare professionals. Mm-hmm. Now, you had a great experience with your employer, supportive, engaging, kind of worked with you on that. There was another survey that was done recently, and the news wasn't quite so good. And this was in women with metastatic breast cancer. And in that survey, 50% of women left their jobs after their cancer diagnosis. Half of those were involuntary. And 20% more felt that they had experienced some job-related discrimination.
And balancing treatment with your job is also important, right? You've got to find some way to do one and get it to jibe with the other, and it's not always easy.
Right, well, and I'm really glad that you put it that way, because it's not one or the other. I mean, what you want to do is to figure out how you can do both, how you can have the best support for your health, and how you can thrive in the workplace. And there are lots of things that you can do to do that. First of all, a really good conversation with your doctor or healthcare provider to find out, what does my diagnosis and treatment mean to my work? And what might my work mean to my diagnosis and my treatment? With that information in hand, you want to do some more investigation. You want to find out what kinds of resources and programs might be available with your employer, with the government, with other work communities that you belong to or are a part of. How those things then fit together is important, because you want a plan that you can implement with your employer, with your healthcare team, with your family, friends, and the rest of your support network, and then be able to move that forward, again, to thrive in the workplace, but to also have the best outcome. Anyone with questions or wanting more information or links to resources can go to gethealthystayhealthy.com.
Yeah. And when you go to gethealthystayhealthy.com and you click on this, discussing cancer with your doctor and working out a plan, you've got to be active in managing your disease, right? You just don't become passive. You stay active with it.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I lived day to day by a calendar for that entire year of my life.
Well, Doctor, you're right. It's all about planning, and this is so important. We are going to continue this conversation tonight, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time on Twitter. So follow me at Dr. Phill, and you can search hashtag cancer and careers to join us. And right up until that time, be on gethealthystayhealthy.com. You can look at the points that are there. It'll kind of tell you what we're going to be talking about over on that conversation. So I want to thank all of my guests today, especially our longtime good friend, Dr. Frieda Lewis Hall. Dana, we thank you for being here, and congratulations on 5 years clean and clear. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.